And let's get into one of my favorite topics ever, which is teaching. Nope, just kidding, not teaching. I just realized that I do things a week in advance, which is delivery, right? This is from last week, or is it teaching? Nope, it is teaching, right?
Teaching.
We're in teaching. We are here. I was like, wait, because I remember last week I was like, wait, did I actually schedule it correctly? And I did. So win. Okay, so I say warning, don't do what I'm about to tell you to do because I'm going to give you a lot of information in a very short period of time. We don't typically want to do this on our webinars, but I will tell you what to do in your webinars. What I like to think about with our program is this is the difference between a teaching webinar and you're like actually teaching a concept versus a webinar, which our purpose is to move someone along in the selling period. So the first thing, Anise, I'm so glad that you brought up that you want to redo, like just have a discussion about your pillars because today we're going to talk about how to break down said pillars. So we're going to talk about how to take a huge concept and break it down into manageable bite-sized pieces. Then we're going to actually, I would love for you all within this program, if you choose to do a webinar at some point. We can look over the slides together. We can look over your script together. There's so much that we can do if you bring your webinar to us. And I would love for the opportunity for you all to do that. So that's an option, but I would love for you to choose a date today. And then also, I want to give you an outline and just like a ton of things that you can use for said webinar. And I'm going to talk to you about an idea that I've had within each of y'all's businesses as a way to learn what's called launching. So we'll discuss all of this today. Now, one of the things that I have been talking about like extensively with all of you is the importance of talking to humans, actually breaking the ice, being like, hello, so nice to meet you. So glad that you are here. I would love to get to know you a little bit more. If someone is a new follower, if people are coming to you now, great way to break the ice is hello. So nice to meet you. I know that you probably came here for help with X, Y, and Z. And I wanted to give you a heads up. I'm actually doing a webinar. It's completely free. It is this date, but I would love to help you. Another thing that I've realized is that a lot of times if we are the only person that's asking all the questions. So if we're the only person who's like, "Hey, tell me about yourself." Like, tell me about your business, tell me about like how long have you been in it? What are your goals for this year? All those kind of things. That sometimes it can feel like an interrogation instead of a conversation. If like you're just like kind of like the only one who's sharing, if you're the only one who is asking for information but not giving information back, it's difficult. It's not difficult necessarily, but I feel like a better way to build those conversations is to include some like exchange of vulnerability, right? So it's like if we think about vulnerability builds relationships, we can be like, hey, I know that I'm doing this webinar. I feel like it could be something that could help you. And if you share something like, I feel like there might be something missing, I would love to know what your thoughts are about this, that creates that vulnerable connection where you're like, hey, like I'm a human too. You can talk to me about your problems. In fact, like, and then my friend Christina Langdon said it's almost like you were asking them, but it's like when you ask somebody else for help, it feels like a more equitable exchange. So it's like if they're asking you for help, for you to ask them for like a smidge of help or like advice or things like that, that's a cool way to like build that like vulnerability of sharing. And if you're the first to share, then I think it helps. Like that's why I'm saying like it's super casual. And I was like, boom, free content ideas. Like also if they're like, oh, I could really use help with this, this, and this, write a post yesterday about it. And then you can also use it as things to market your webinar. So you can be like, if you're not doing webinars, you can do like mini trainings. You could do that if you choose to do like a Facebook group or something. You could also include that like on Instagram Live if you want to do something like that, a LinkedIn Live, something like that. So you're already talking about your goals with them. So I see some stuff in the chat and we're going to check. Do you review anything like, oh, yes, yes, yes. I do review anything. So if you guys in your tracker, if there's stuff that you want to tell me that is like private or something like that, I check that every week when I post everything. So just a unrelated to lead gen, but yes, I do check if you on the form, if you're like, hey, if there's something I want to like know and you don't want necessarily in the stream of the classroom, that is a perfect place to put it. Please put anything like that there and I will reach out to you about it. And yes, we will. I was like, I got you, Sharon. And I also messaged you. I was like, we'll clarify. You posted something in the stream, and we shall clarify that after I coach Anise today. And anybody else who, and so it'll be like Anise, you, and then anybody who wants to raise a hand. So coming back to this, if we are thinking about, I'm reading this book called Spin Selling. I can send you guys a link to it. Well, reading, I'm listening to it. And one of the things that they found with sales is that the most accomplished, it was interesting because a lot of people, it with a lower ticket offer, something that is cheap or free, if you go direct hard sell to the offer, people will buy. Like they'll opt in, right? So it's like the smaller the opt in, the faster the opt in, or the smaller the energy required for the result, or less expensive or free, the faster people will say yes. So they were talking about like we're all doing larger ticket sales. We're selling something that is a larger price. So what happens is we want to build a relationship with people. So it's a cool way for you to move along the sales process to go from, hey, we don't know each other at all to I'm working with you. We want to give them mini opt-ins as we go to build those relationships, to build the trust so that then they take the choice to do the larger opt-in. That's another reason why webinars are so effective. So, what I've found is this is something that I'm still in the process of refining, honestly, like myself, and something I hear most people talk about is that a lot of times we give, whenever we're teaching a topic, you guys might notice that even in this group, a lot of times I'm very passionate. I know a lot about lots of topics. And sometimes I just want to like help you immediately. And so I'll just be like, here is everything all at once, digest. And what happens is when you teach in that way in a webinar format, when someone hasn't paid to be supported by you for a longer period of time, it actually repels people. They get really overwhelmed. That is not an emotion that we are looking to create on your webinars. We don't want people to feel overwhelmed. We want them to feel like your process and your webinar is helping them get the next step in, and your program is something that's simple, easy, doable. Overwhelm, not an ideal emotion to create. Now, the other thing is I have seen a lot of confusion. So I have heard about like a lot of it kind of comes like back to marketing and things like that. If you are like, okay, on this webinar, we are going to talk about 3 ways to sign clients. And then on the webinar, you talk about planning. Unless you make a really compelling connection where you're like, planning helps you sign your next 3 clients, people might get confused. And if they're confused, that's also not an emotion where they're ready to buy. We want to keep them in a place of, again, that like, oh, this is doable. I'm seeing that I'm getting value reflected at me right now and it is helpful. Now, I know why we do this is like we get super excited and we're like, oh my gosh, I can help all the humans. And you're like, I want to just teach everyone everything. So we want to give a lot away in that time. And I also know that sometimes there might be like this element of overcompensation that we feel where we're like, I have to prove that this 6 figure systems is a great investment. So please work with me and I will prove it to you with all the information that I'm giving you. And again, because of that, what happens is they do, they feel overwhelmed and confused. So what happens is the reason why we do this is we're in a state of believing that like your offer is not the best thing since sliced bread. you're not necessarily in like this thought that like you are in demand, that your business is in demand, that your coaching is in demand right now. And we want to move toward believing in that. In this context, what would be considered low, mid, and high ticket in terms of pricing? Low would be, I would say free would be, but like it's going to cost them time. So a webinar would be a low ticket opt in. I would say that a another low ticket opt in would be a testimony, like a template or a freebie, like my testimonial template. It's free, it's short. I would say that that's probably like the best lowest ticket opt in is like you're asking for just 3 to 5 minutes of their time. It's something that's going to build improvement. That would be like a low ticket opt in. A medium ticket, that's how you could, and if we're thinking about that, that's like a different skill set, but that's something that like you can get people to just say yes to very quickly. The next level is something that they're going to have to build their time into. And I would say that that's like a lower, like low to mid would be a webinar. A mid would be like a paid thing that's, I would say, under $100. And then a high ticket would be 100 and plus. So all of your coaching would be, I would guess you could say like a mid ticket could be your 150, Tammy. So that could be maybe a mid ticket, but with the intentionality of filling the one-on-one, like it's actually it's three different skill sets selling all three of those, if that makes sense. So it's like to sell someone on a high ticket, that's why we do a whole consult. For mid ticket, it's just a quick opt-in, same with a webinar. Great question. Any other low tickets could be at a price point as well. Yeah. Any other questions about this? Wondrous. Let's talk about how why I really like webinars as a format. So I think that webinars, the interesting thing is I would go live on my Instagram every Monday when I first started. I also did a webinar like every month, and I'm actually going back to that and I'll explain my strategy around that. But here are the reasons why I think webinars are a great way to build your audience. First off, you get credibility, right? So it's like if you are thinking about like being an expert that somebody wants to pay for your service, people want to be like, "Oh, I trust Sharon. I know what she's talking about." You know, it's like they want to be like, "Oh, I really like her marketing's been good. Let me see a little bit more. Let me get like it's almost like a little try before you buy, like a sample. It's like they're getting a sample of you and they want to see what planting seeds of like, oh, she got me results in a post. She got me results in a webinar. I bet if we work together, she'll get me even more results. What we call that is like planting seeds. So it's just kind of like planting seeds, like, hey, this is valuable. You'll definitely want this. The other thing to value is that you're going to be giving value ahead of time. When people get free help, they are thrilled. One of the things that I've found is that I've had 8 people in the past week reach out to me about six figure systems. And they were like, oh my word, you have given so much value. They were like, every post, I'm just like, clinging to every word. They were like, I can't wait to work with you. Like, and I'm like, great. I was like, I can't wait to talk to you. I was like, do you want to talk this week? And they're like, here, I sent them my link and they were like, we're definitely going to reach out soon. Now, whether they're going to or not, that's like, I'm doing everything I can to like bring that to their attention. However, it's like when people get results ahead of time, they're like, oh, wow, like the real thing is probably like even more valuable. And what I hope is that you're experiencing is like, oh, wow, you probably got some sort of value from me before we worked together. And now that you're working with me, you're like, oh, wow, things are working. This is great. The next thing is I know that a lot of you guys already have amazing current audiences. Like you've got your audience, and let's say that your audience is maybe on like it might be a sample size that you want to grow. I'm not even going to say the word smaller, but if you're like, "Oh, I really want to grow my audience," right? We want to use webinars to expand your reach and bring in more people. So one of the ways that you could do that is you can do collaborative presentations with people. I just did one. If you look at my webinars, I can send you one that I did with Taryn West. She's a coach for the Life Coach School. We did one in October. I also have done presentations at NC State. I did 6 presentations for them in 2021 into 2022 a little bit. I did a presentation for a corporation. I did a presentation for actually 2 different corporations, one women's group. And there's just like so many opportunities for you to get exposure and like be like, okay, here's who I am, here's what I do, here's something valuable. So you can pitch yourself to other organizations, pitch yourself to businesses, pitch yourself to like universities and things like that, no matter like wherever you're thinking. And you can have them be like, hey, also like bring more people in. And the way I like to think about it is like for each person that you have in your audience, they know probably like a wedding full of people. So like 300 people. So it's like, even if they don't want to work with you directly from that, they might be like, oh my God, I attended this amazing webinar with Jess and I love her. She's awesome. And I like today, I got a recommend, like one of my clients, former clients from years ago, messaged me and was like, hey, do you have a recommendation? And I sent a ton of people her way. I was like, by the way, yeah. So it's like you're building that name recognition. What presentation did I do for the women's group? It was a women's group in New York. It was this like it was like women in tech or women in communications. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking out right now. But yeah, so we did this presentation for them and it was on work-life balance and about how to take back their time and like create a year they planned with that. Great question, Sharon. So yeah, so like you can just like pitch them and I would choose just one thing to pitch to people. To like be like, okay, I think this would be a great fit for you. Let me know if that isn't great for you, we can think of something else. So this was back when I like had 6 pillars instead of 4 that I've switched to. However, one of the things that I realized is that each of my pillars has different smaller subsets of it. So you do not need to make a separate document if you don't want to. But one thing that was helpful for me was to think about what are the subsets of marketing. I know for me, every time I would go to write a post, anytime I go to do a webinar about marketing, my brain would be like, let's give them essentially the marketing module. I'd be like, let's give them everything that I teach in the program, the whole thing. And that creates confusion and overwhelm that nobody wants to buy from, right? So, one of the things that I found is that breaking it into like smaller subtopics is really helpful. So, for instance, if I were to break down marketing into subtopics, those are larger topic things, I was like larger topic things that would take about that would take like about 45 minutes to explain. So, like your style of marketing, the calendar, content batching in and of itself, those would be subtopics that I could do an entire webinar about that wouldn't be giving away the entire marketing module. The subcategories are great places for you for your warm value posts. So that could be like, I could explain warm leads in a post. I could explain hot leads in a post. I could explain cold leads in a post. I could explain testimonials in a post. I could explain how to do like a question to make your copy more compelling. That's what I did last week. I actually did like 5 questions to like make your marketing stronger. And that was like a way I broke it down. So what you want to do is for your pillars, we already have those. And if we want a little clarification time, I got you. And what we can do is from there, think about all the smaller subsets of that topic for you, and then think about subcategories, and that can be really helpful. So the first thing is if you're like, I have no idea what to teach, like I have no idea what I could even teach somebody else. The first thing that you want to do is if there has been something that you've learned from somebody else that is public information, everything that you learn on here, by the way, anything that you hear from me, feel free to use. Like I literally, like one of my clients today, she was like, could I do a chaos to like clients webinar, even though I just did like a chaos to cash flow. And I'm like, sure. I'm like, go for it. No sweat off my back. I feel totally fine about that. So you can use your like anything I teach you in here, feel free to use. So anything that you also learned from certifications, anything you've heard from a book, like I talked to you about spin selling, anything you hear from a podcast, which is public knowledge, any trainings that you just want to regurgitate in your own words, that's where you start. You just teach something that someone else has taught you in your own way, especially if it's public information or you have consent. So I am LCS trained. There was a program called Life Coach or through the Life Coach School. I got certified as a life coach. They taught me something called Monday Hour One. I paid for the certification. I can teach that to other people. Ye- Now, the second layer of becoming a leader and a thought leader in your industry and an expert would be take something that you learned and put your spin on it. Be like, okay, I like Monday Hour One, but maybe I'm gonna call it like CEO scheduling or something like that and like switch it around a little bit. The other thing that you want, like I will be teaching you guys monthly Hour One very soon. And that's like a variation of Monday Hour One with my spin on it. So that could be like the next layer of a topic you could teach. The third piece is something that you've implemented and give a fancy name to it that becomes like something that's completely unique to you. So for me, my weekly tracker is something that like I created that you'll see this color coding thing that you'll see for financial tracking, but that has been a piece of my weekly evaluation that no one else has created and is my own thing. So when you are planning, what I would love for you to do is take one of the pillars, choose a subtopic or subcategory, and use that for your webinar. I have like subcategories, but you could choose one or the other. And what I like to do is I would love for you to take a look at your calendars after this and pick a date and time that you could do a webinar within the next 3 months. Or no, we've got more time than that. Within the next 4 months, I would love for you to like think of that, get your topic, get it ready. And I actually switched it to Mondays at 8 p.m. So I was like, this is when I picked it. So I used to do it Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Literally anytime you want, you can do a webinar. And I would just really, really love for you guys to do that because I would love for you to learn and I would love to see some of the marketing you do beforehand and then how to sell hard. So here is what my protocol looks like. And then I gave to you guys. So I like to decide the dates a month in advance. Now, if you are doing a webinar like tomorrow, totally fine. Love that. Doesn't I decided on doing my webinar next Monday. I decided on that like 2 weeks ago. So it's like doesn't always have to be a full month in advance. But I'll talk to you about how you want to change your monthly marketing calendar so that the webinar aligns with the topic. For instance, if I am talking about marketing, sales, planning, lead gen, marketing, sales, planning, lead gen. If that's my flow, right? I got this like going on, and I'm doing a webinar about planning. The week before the webinar, I don't want to talk about lead gen. I want to talk about planning. I would be like, let's talk about planning. And I spend the week before with the topic of the pillar that is closest to the webinar. So I will be like, if the week before I'm selling the webinar in every post, I'm like, hey, join the webinar. Hey, join the webinar. Have you heard this webinar? It's lovely. You're gonna love it. So that's what I do for the 3 topics beforehand. And then the week of the webinar, you can choose another topic that is either closely linked or a completely different topic that is completely unrelated. So you or that is completely related, or you could talk about your whole program. So you could either be like the week after the webinar or the week of the webinar, you can talk about like for me, I'm doing a goal setting one. So I'm going to talk about how to plan out your goals. It's called the Guarantee Your Goal webinar. So this week, I'm talking all about planning. Next week, I'm going to talk about either all of Six Figure Systems as a whole, because I'm going to be selling people hard to sign up for one-on-one coaching, or I'm going to sell them on, I think, sales. I think that's the topic that I have listed right now. Does that make sense? Because it's guarantee your goal, selling to hit your goal. So it's like that's a topic that's aligned. Yes, Kirsty.
So just to reiterate, you're saying the week before the webinar, talk about your marketing material should include the webinar topic, but you're saying the week during the webinar, you can either sell your product one-on-one or whatever your offer is, or you said talk about something related to the
Yes. So what are your pillars?
mine are confidence, planning, action, and stress management.
Okay, so we've got confidence, planning, let's just say
Action,
action, time management. So
yeah,
let's say
stress
that
management.
stress management. So
Hmm.
let's say you're doing a webinar about goals as well, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So one thing related to goals would be planning, I'm
Hmm.
guessing. So
Hmm.
that's what I
Hmm.
would do the week before as you're seating the webinar. The week of the webinar, once you do the webinar, we want to be selling your program the whole time. So you could either just be like, "Hey, sign up for my offer," or you could do, I would say, confidence. Like, what is your confidence to take on 2024? That would be a closely linked pillar to the
Hmm.
goal, the webinar itself. And that could be a way that you could structure your marketing and continue to just talk about a topic a week.
Okay.
Yeah, but great question. And Tammy asked, do you dedicate a full week to each topic? Yes. So I would do a full week on planning, a full week on time manage, or a full week on planning, full week on managing leads, a full week on marketing, and a full week on sales. So it'd be like that would be the structure. First week of January, talk about lead gen. Second week of January, or managing leads. Second week of January, talk about marketing. Third week of January, which is this week, talk about planning. Fourth week, talk about sales. So it'll go like that. Yes, Tammy.
Okay, so my brain is going, oh wait, I'm seeing so many different parallels. Okay. So in the context of okay, I am focused on my high ticket item and also I have a mid and a low ticket at a price point. Like I have a free
Yep.
item. I have my free people, right? So like I have my free thing, I have my free group and I post that in stories, I post that and I get
Mhm.
engaged. So my question would be like, can you take that same process where you give a full week to focus on whatever your offer is, or does it create confusion or frustration based on like the algorithms? Because like not everyone sees what you're posting every day or even every week.
That is the tricky part about having multiple offers. However, I think what you're saying is that, like, for each month, if I focus on my offer for a week, would that be problematic? But your offer is also going to have your pillars. So you're going to, as you're selling your whole offer, let's say it's Teresia's offer and she is confidence. The week of, like, that's one of her pillars. If she's talking about confidence and like when she sells her program, she's like, work with me for 3 months and you're going to be more confident. You're going to plan, you're going to stress manage, and you're going to take action. Like these are the four things I do. You're still going to hit those words, but you could just talk about the whole program overall. My idea with doing a webinar every month this year is that I'm going to, for the first 2 weeks of the year, give some general value that's unrelated. Third week of the year, do a webinar. Fourth week of the year, or fourth week of the, if each month is 4 weeks, then that fourth week selling. And then going back to nurture and then webinar, sell, nurture, webinar, sell, just like creating a cycle. So that's my strategy because I'm focusing on one offer at a time. So I have 8 months out of the year that I'm focusing on one, 4 months that I'm selling my group. Now, for you, one of the things that you could do is you could incorporate maybe like for your mid and low ticket offer, you could just have it as a call to action that like you're selling, but it's like it could just be like instead of like for the cold leads, you could be like, by the way, join the free group. If you give let's say you talk about financial. Oh my gosh, like so you got like a ton of things on financial. If your first week of the month you're talking about finances, right? You could
Mhm.
be like, here's a tip about finances. Here's why finances are important to me, Tammy. I want to tell you about like I got out of this, I did this, and this is my thing. Join the free group to learn and hear more. That could be your call to action to make sure you're getting that low ticket offer just out there. And you could do that for the first topic of the week. Then the second topic of the week, which would still be related to finances, you'd be like, let me tell you about like a debt process. It's like this is a you do this and like clearly I know a lot about it. But I'm like, but it's like I've got a you do a thing and it makes life better. Sign up. Here's if you want a debt counseling session, book one here. And then for your hot leads for your testimonial, you're like, I want to tell you about the Resilient Life program. It's 6 months where you're going to learn about finances and so much more. My lovely client, Jennifer, got all these results. She got out of debt. She's doing this. She's doing awesome. You are the next Jennifer. Sign up for a consult here for the Resilient Life. So you see how you could do that's a way you
For
could
the Resilient-
structure your marketing.
So literally I could do like mindset Mondays or goofy things like that. And then like throughout the week, I can have a few different things and just kind of work through my themes. And instead of giving it a full week, it's a day of the week that I'm hitting on that
Hmm.
touch point.
So you're saying that like you could do like a day of planning, a day of marketing, a day of like for mine, for like
Yeah.
a
So
day for
like
each.
it's a,
That could
so
work
the
too.
sales
Yeah.
cycle is shorter. And
Yeah.
it also builds more credibility because
Yeah.
you're giving so many value posts with the call to action inside of it.
Yeah. So I'm thinking
Okay,
like
cool.
for the year, if you're doing, let's say you do 3 topics a week for 52, 3 times 52, I'm pulling up my calculator, but I turned off my phone. Somebody knows that number, put it in the chat. I was like, but whatever 3 times 52 is, that would be the number of posts you would do. So if you're like the way I structure in my brain is I'm like, if I talk about a topic a week, it would build that name brand that I help with that at least a fourth of that time. 156 divided by 4 is like, I know a fourth of my year I'm talking about one topic. But you're just saying that you would break out a fourth of your year into a different way. Like, so if you do like 4 posts a week, one per post, they would still have whatever 156 divided by 4 is, the algorithm would
39.
still get that. What is it?
It's 39.
Okay, 39. So it's like they would still get that 39 posts with you specifically talking about finances, relationships, stress management, and your other posts I can't pillar that I can't remember.
Yeah.
But they would still get those topics. It would just be a different flavor. So that's totally fine too. When I talk about like you can either adopt completely a system, adapt or abandon whatever I teach you, that's a perfect adaptation of it. That's a great way that you're just making it your own. And I'm with you.
Okay, cool. Thank you for expanding on
Of
that.
course. Of course. That's a cool way. I was like, I haven't heard anybody talk about that. So that's really cool. So within that, one of the things that reasons why I had you guys like start doing outreach now is that when you're doing the posting before the webinar, again, if you interact with somebody, they'll see what you're posting. So the week before being like, hey, so good to talk to you. How's it been? And then the week of the webinar, when you go to be like, oh, and by the way, I'm doing this webinar, it's not just like a, hi, I'm doing this webinar, sign up, which is what I've done many times and it's not a big deal either. Sharon, great question. So, sorry. So Sharon asked, how do you invite people when you don't have social media platforms yet? That is a great question. What kind of context do you have? You've got some emails from these networking events, right?
I do have some emails from the networking events. And then I was thinking as I went to other networking events, maybe that's an opportunity there as well too. And then like I think you said your mom and somebody was on your first webinar.
Oh yeah. My mom and my ex, they were on it. It was just the two of them. And I want to offer to you guys that like people see where I am now. And I messaged like 120 people. No one responded and no one signed, or they would respond and say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy. Like I can't come. For the first like 3 webinars, the first one, nobody came. The second one, actually, no, the first one, my mom and my ex came. The second one, I was too embarrassed to even ask them to come. And I had asked 120 people again. So I sent like 240 messages to people and nobody responded again. And I was like, oh my God. And I didn't even have them come. I just recorded it and cried. So it was like a whole thing. And then if you go to the webinars on my website, you guys can see these. I was like, I still have them up, but like and I don't even think I like, I put up the presentations. I was like, cause I was like pretty horrified by it, but I was literally just like, it'll be interesting. Like the breakup with your job was one of the first ones that I did. This was like, and, but you can see like there were like 4 people. Gary's my grandfather. You'll probably see him on like many of my webinars. So it took a really freaking long time. Also, look at my coloring. This is like back when I coached children. The Career Fulfillment Initiative.
Megan, I was going to say though, this is really good that you left this up because this is actually how I got to know you better.
Yes, you
Yes.
did.
This is how I got to know you better. And I went through several of these. And then that's actually what kind of made me the next step to join this program. So I'm so glad you left these up because I've gone through
Oh,
almost all of them, I believe.
oh my God. Well, I hope you liked them. And it was so cool. So you were the first, like when we got on our consult, you were like, oh, I watch all these. I was like, people still watch these. I was like, my God. I was like, well, thank God I left it up. But the other thing that I also found really interesting is another person who messaged me, never met her, never talked to her. She was like, I've been truly struggling for the past 2 years with my marketing. My husband just lost his job and now I'm the breadwinner and this business, like, it's like, it has, like, she was like, we're in pretty dire straits right now. And I was like, oh my God. And she was like, I watched your Simple Social Media Systems, this one. And she was like, the thing that I've struggled with for 2 years, I hopefully it'll show up, but like she was like, I struggled with it for 2 years and I watched your webinar and I made my social media system in 15 minutes. I made my whole calendar for the month in 15 minutes. And she was like, I cried. She's like, my husband cried because he knows how much. And she was like, I just thank you. So it's like, even if nobody is coming, even if you are not seeing anybody there, please keep doing it. I even like, there was one that I did, the Not Your Average Marketing Workshop, one of them, or marketing conversion. I don't know why it's not shifting it. It's just like my website's having a hard time. But within that, if you go and look at those, I totally forgot to hit record. And so I had to like record it on my own afterwards. Even if you're doing that, it's still valuable. It's experience and learning how to do this protocol is more so the experience I want you to get because a lot of people talk about, what I bet's happening? I bet my mouse just died. I was like, why am I clicking and nothing's happening? I think my mouse is dead. I was like, did you guys see me like struggling? I'm like, I'm really trying to click on things. I'm like, nothing is working. Whoops. Okay, let's see if we can click on things now. Beautiful. So within that, I realized that like the value that you give like ahead of time, if you just keep giving value, it really helps. And it could also be like a sentence starter if you're not doing a webinar like the next week. You could be like, hey, I did a training about marketing. You want me to send it your way after they're already in your group, being like, hey, which of these things are you like, could you use some help with? Do you want like help with more confidence? You want some help with more time management, some more work-life balance? It's like, I've got a training about each of these and I can totally send it your way if you want. Let me know. It's like, here's your, like, just other ways to get people to opt in. So great question. How, I was like, does that answer? I was like, question slash comment slash rant. I was like, yes, a library. So Tammy said, leaving the content up also gives you a library. If you ever decide to make an evergreen product, this was one of the ways that I was like, what are the most viewed topics? Guess how I came up with 6-figure systems? And you could just take some of that, put it into a free Google Classroom and save that for later. So good. Yes. And I like, oh, and the other girl was like, as soon as we make money, like as soon as we are like out of this, like like, I'm hiring you like yesterday. She's like, you're the coach for me. And I was like, it's just like so cool to see after like years of doing, and I'm telling you guys, like, it was years of seeing no, like, just very few results, and it does get better. You just have to keep going and just be like, yep, this is part of it. Like, not like being like, I have 0 likes on this, and that's not the purpose. It's to give value and just keep going. So the reason why we wanted to create the outreach list is so you've got people to talk to. Then we want to write the webinar. I'm going to give you a script. Feel free to use it or switch it or leave it. But I would love to give you feedback on these scripts. We can talk through it together. You can post it in the group and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Or we could workshop it on these calls. Then we can make, like, after you make the slides, we can take a look at that, present it to someone, and then make changes. That's what I like to do. I like to present it to someone or myself. And then if you want to, you can create a worksheet to follow along if that's something that you want. Sharon.
So my question is, a- s- would you, based on, because we have similar systems,
Mhm.
would you focus on a webinar that's more towards what people are thinking about this month, like goals?
Yes.
Okay, because I was gonna say,
100%.
at first I was gonna ask if you found that one webinar was more responsive than the other, but I think it has more to do with where people's minds are right now and how you can give value to that.
Precisely. You were
Okay.
on the right track. So that's what we want to think about. And like one of the things that I realize is that like if you guys have aspirations to grow your businesses to a different level. So like people have one-on-one coaching is their one offer. They stick with it for years and it's awesome. Nothing like that's phenomenal. And if you've thoughts about like potentially scaling to doing something like a group or a program, something that, or like a course or something like that. When you're thinking about like doing different offers like that, another added benefit to understanding how to do a webinar is you go from selling for a larger ticket offer, let's say like for my mastermind, I still do consults for it, but my goal is that like I'm eventually going to sell people straight from the webinar. They're going to do a webinar and sign up for the group right away. So that's another added benefit of learning how to sell your offer on a webinar or if you have aspirations or goals of going further. It can replace the time. Yes. The interaction. So Tammy said the interaction is nice, but not the main measurement. 100%. And we'll talk about what to measure that actually makes the change. And Tammy also said most of her clients do not engage, do not emoji, do not comment, and bye. Do you guys like, I don't know if you're likers, but like a lot of I'm a liker. Like if I think about my presence on social media, I will like every post in my feed. And then sometimes I have to go back and be like, I actually like especially like some of like the funny ones that I look at. I like especially if it's like a reel, like I'll be like, oh, I like the third one, but the first one was like kind of odd. And I'm like, oh, I don't want people to see that I like that. But I like I'll just like everything. I'm like a like happy Instagrammer. Most people aren't like me. Most people aren't like every single post they see in their stream, they're not liking it. So you guys might see like on your stories, I'll probably spam you with likes and hearts and fires and be like, "Ooh, flames!" It's like that's great. But most people aren't like me, and they will still buy, and that's totally fine. Oh, I love emojis. I live for the emojis. So from here, what you want to do is another thing that is just a tech like a tech learning curve that I want you to experience while I am coaching you at the very least is all the tech to get people to actually sign up on your webinar. And if you have any questions about that, I can like show you and make some videos. But like you might want to make a Canva. So what I like to do is I make a Canva that says sign up for the Guarantee Your Goal webinar. Here's the Canva. Let's go. Then I like to have a pop-up on my website. Learning how to do a pop-up, learning how to make a form, learning how to do all of that BS. It is a pain in the butt. But the first time that you do it is the hardest. And then you figure it out and you're like, oh, so you can do it for every other webinar you do in the future. And it's a lot easier. But I want you to deal with all those like learning how to make a Facebook event. The first time you might be like, how do I do this? But then you learn and it's like very easy. Learning how to get emails scheduled and written in advance. that is like a little bit of a learning curve, but I like for you to do like just like a, hey, thank you for signing up for the webinar email. I like to send the whole thing to my email list. You guys are going to be getting it today if you're on my email list. And or anyone who registers that's not on my email list, it's like a, hey, thanks for signing up. And guess what? I wanted to make it as easy as possible for you guys. So I literally sent you my old templates for each of these that you can literally just copy and paste and make for your own. Because I wanted to give I want to decrease your learning curves as much as possible. I'm like, if you're already learning how to do all this jazz, I would love to make it easier. So then I like to do a like, this week we're going to be doing this. And I send that out to my email list either, and you'll see those. There's a 1 hour before and then 30 minutes in to talk about my program. I also like to change a link tree so I can be like, hey, register here. I like to message everyone from the list. So it's like if I reach out and like, hey, how's it going? And they respond, I'm like, and by the way, I'm doing a webinar. And then add everyone to those emails. Then after the email webinar, we want to do a quick eval. I used to do like free coaching sessions. So that's a cool way to bring people on. It's like I'll send a coaching session. I'll like do a giveaway for a free coaching session if you want it. Change and then change everything back. So like you'll put all these pop-ups up, you'll get all those going. And that's kind of like the behind the scenes side of thing. Now, for what do you actually say? What do you actually say on a webinar to humans? I like to think about it as like just a 4-step thing. Intro, here's like who you are. This is the webinar. What are your problems? What is the solution? How do you work with me? Very, very simple. So I've got an outline for you guys, and we'll talk about like how for like why am I the best person to help them? And thinking about like what are their problems? Why are they like actually seeking a solution? Like for guarantee your goals. I'm like, why have they not hit their goals? That's an important thing to talk about. For the solution, I like 3 steps. I'm a big 3-step person. And if you're gonna do something on the call where they're implementing it, then I like to give people time on the call. So let's say I'm like having them do a reflection. I'm thinking about doing that for this webinar. I'm thinking about having them like think about, okay, how much did you make this year? What are some things that you learned? And if you want to make more next year, how could we make that happen? And then how to work with you and being like, and I know that like goals are great, but let's talk about 6-figure systems. And I've got a script for you guys to fill out and we can talk through any ideas you guys might have. So for the first email, anyone that signs up for the webinar, there is a way if you want to literally like just send them an email from Gmail, or if you want to get a fancy email provider like Flowdesk, Squarespace, any of those people, you can. Totally up to you. I don't want to give you anything where you have to pay for anything, but I have this one called Flowdesk, and it looks like this. And anyone who signed up for an email in the past, they got this. And anyone on my list, they were like, boom, here we go. The second email is like, hey, here's an overview. This would be 3 days before or the Sunday before. So I'm sending this to everyone, be like, tomorrow, get ready for the Guarantee Your Goal webinar. The problem with goals, the solution, like my 3 steps to guarantee your goals, and 6-figure systems. Also, you can sign up for a consult. So it just has like the facts. Sharon.
I was just curious, how did you decide on Flowdesk versus like MailChimp or some of those others? Just kind of what was your determining factors?
Such a great question. So I was in this yoga boss group that I still work with Jackie Murphy. She's the person who runs it, and she was my first general life coach. And I posted in her group, and one of the people who I used to teach yoga with was like, I found this really pretty like email provider. It was the first one I ever heard of, and I signed up for it immediately. It is very expensive. I would not necessarily have done that if I had thought through things. I was just kind of desperate. And I was just like, okay. I was like, you told me this. So I was like, there must not be any other ones. Let's go. So I think it's like, it's pretty expensive. It's like, I don't know how much it is now, but I think it's like 20 a month. Like, so it's like not cheap. I would maybe look into some like free alternatives. I think MailChimp is free up until 500 people, and then you have to pay like 20 a month or something like that. I think that if you have a website, you can like if you have like a Squarespace website or Wix, I'm working with a client right now who just has a free website on Wix, free website on Squarespace, and you could actually make an email list through there, which I was like, cool, didn't know. So yeah, and so you can do it through your email, through your website. You can choose something like MailChimp and it'll have something like this for you. Or you could literally just send them a Gmail and be like, hey, come to this webinar. Cheap and cheerful. I love it. Teresia. Oh, sorry, you're muted. No. I feel like you've got something.
So I wanted to add, sorry, thanks for that.
Yeah.
I wanted to add, Sharon, that most of these mailing like softwares have like a 2-week trial period. And I would recommend that you try it and actually, have like set up like one of these series of emails to see. I tried MailChimp and it was just the most convoluted thing that I've ever experienced. Like I love Apple products. I think everything needs to be like really dumb and accessible, and that wasn't it.
Mhm.
And so really I'd offer before you pay, go and experience it with something basic that you're sending. And if you can't even send yourself a series of stuff, then that probably is they can be such a headache is all I'm trying to say. So experience it yourself. Actually, do a fake series, send yourself emails or a bunch of people and just decide with your own data that it's easy. Even if you watch those videos online, seeing and doing are two separate things, man.
I literally like, and that's why I want you guys to do this here and like get coached. Like I just coached someone this morning before I had my first group, and she was like, the technology is going to kill me. And I said, okay, we're going to take a breath. I was like, it's going to be okay. But while you have me here, like if you even want to put up your screen, we can like talk through it if you need to. And I've got you. Um, for sure. And then Timmy said, do you need an email provider as a business? And you actually don't need an email provider as a business. Like you could totally just like this is totally optional. You could even, if you wanted to have like a Facebook group, a Zoom link, like you could just have people like register straight through a Zoom link. You couldn't send them emails unless you just get their Gmail. But yeah, that was yeah. So you totally don't have to do this, but it could be really helpful for you. Zanier is another one. If anyone has I'm probably not saying that right, but if anyone has any other and Teresia, I see you. If you have any other providers, feel free to put them in the stream and we can like I'll put a link to Flowdesk in there too. Teresia.
Just one more thing.
Of course.
I eventually want to have a digital product. And I remember when I was asking people advice of what different, companies to use for my email list or digital marketing, and how should I think about it? Some companies are bundling everything together, but with that comes this problem of they may have started in one area and they're really good at that other area and are crappy with all this other additions that they're adding. And then that all got really overwhelming. So a question I just asked myself is, all right, given where I am right now, what do I need to do for right now? And I just trust that when the time comes to grow, I will either be able to migrate shit, or if I can't migrate shit, I will solve that problem because I won't be the only one with that problem. But going down this technology path, wow, it is a lot. And just sometimes just what do you need for right now to cull the scope for yourself personally, just to make yourself sane.
Yes. And I will say that like I have someone who has a 22,000 person email list and they just switched providers. So even with all of that, so it's like you no matter what size your email list gets to, you could and they actually like another person with like a 7,000 person email list, they switch. So it's like you can always switch providers for sure. And it's just like, just pick one, give it a try. You're going to learn just the basics of like, okay, when it says form, this is what it means. When it says flow, this is what it means. Workflow. When it says like trigger, and it's just gonna be like a little bit of a learning process, but it's worth doing just once so you can get experience. You can get like just trying this once. And once you do it one time, then you can use this exact same template. You're going to see this if you are on my email list. You are going to see not that first one. I made it a little different. You guys are every single one of you is going to get this with the words goal, achievement, or whatever it's called, guarantee your goal webinar at the top on Sunday at 5 a.m. and on Monday at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. before the webinar. You're going to get something that looks exactly like this, just with different words. I use the exact same webinar template every single time. I just duplicate it and use it for the next one. Just change the Zoom link. Sharon, great question.
So if we create this template, a template similar like this for ours and Kava, we could utilize that in maybe our Gmail business account.
On
Has anybody
Canva.
else done that?
So I've never done that.
Okay.
I think you could, but so the thing that is helpful with what email provider is that you don't have to enter everyone by hand.
Mhm.
However, until this year, I had to learn how to automate that, which was a beast and a half. But I learned this year how to automate it, and I did enter everyone by hand, and it's totally possible with Gmail. If you just make something pretty in Canva, just Gmail everybody, BCC, which is blind carbon copy them, so that like no one sees anyone else's emails, then you could absolutely do that too. Great like workaround if you don't want to figure out an email provider right now.
And I imagine that you take these then that you create here, and then you have that in your email, but you also duplicate the same templates basically on your social media accounts, correct?
Yes, on my social accounts. So this week I just did like an opt-in, like, hey, join the webinar. And it's the same post I did for the Chaos to Cash Flow. I literally just changed the words to the Guarantee Your Goal webinar. And then next week I'm gonna do on tomorrow, I'm gonna have another post about the why behind it. And I'm gonna be like, hey, like I was really struggling like financially. I got better. I don't want you to have to do that. Guarantee your goal, sign up. So it'll kind of be like that. I think that answered your question, right? I was like, I was like, let me know if you need anything else, but I got you. Tammy.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is like expanding my brain. What I'm hearing you say is like I could literally use my Gmail as my mail server. Then how do people opt in and opt out? Like I've
You'd have to do
seen.
it by hand.
Okay, so there's not like a way to create like a unsubscribe link or so, you know what I mean? Like,
I do. I was like, I don't know. I
okay,
don't know, but
Could
I
you-
don't think so. But if you find something on it and YouTube it, let us know because I don't think so, but
I'm
it could be.
thinking, Tammy, I think you might be able to just like include a little message at the bottom of the email that like, you know how you get text messages from places and it's like stop, reply, stop.
Yeah.
And then you
Oh,
could manually manage that for now. But I know there are some emails that I get through Gmail that have the unsubscribe option right on there. So there may be a way to include that.
okay. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. And then the other question I had is what is the difference between an email provider and an email host?
But I will look into it. I think they're the same thing. I think it's synonymous. But I think like I think they're the same thing. Good question though. If you
Thank you.
find out something different, please post in the group. I'm like, it's the same, but I don't know. Like, I hope that's right. But if you find something else, let me know. But yeah, good. Everyone's asking like such awesome questions. The other thing is that I like to do is like in my webinar, when I've got these people engaged, they're on the webinar or they've registered for it. 30 minutes in, I like to be like, hey, sign up for the program. Let's do this. Let's go. And I send them the consult link here. Now, this is obviously back in 2 years ago when I did this group for half the price when I first started it. But I like to have like all about, it's like, now that you know about what I taught you at the webinar, let's talk about working with me. And so you can take all the words that I have here, and then I've got like a free 1-hour consult, a testimonial, and then at the very end, I'm like, here's the replay. And if you click here, then you go into the replay, and I have on my website, it just says coming soon. You could send a separate email just with the replay, just for the people who replied that they wanted to come. It's totally up to you. But I send this to everybody on my list. And I sometimes even show them this email, and I'm like, hey, if you want to book your consult, click the link in the chat, scan the QR code I have in the presentation, or look at your email. All of my recorded content on YouTube. Great question. Timmy asked, where do I put everything up? I put it all on YouTube, and I make it, I think I have it as like a link only. So like only people with the link can view it. But even stuff for this group is on YouTube. It's just a private playlist. Oh my gosh, so funny. Sharon and Teresia, I know that you guys are not in the same area, but you both looked at the same direction, the same time. It looked like you both had heard something. And it was like, there was just like such a moment. I was like, wow, that's cool.
No, so it's snowing, and my driveway is pretty long, and the people who helped me clean the driveway just came in with this like snowplow, and it was so loud it startled me.
I
But
was
I
just
can
like,
see them.
it was literally like simultaneous. You guys are both like, boom. And I was like, wow, that's neat. I love it. Anywho's, so with that, the week after a webinar, when I made this presentation initially, I would literally just send this email, and I was like, that's it. Please book. That is the hottest week for your whole audience. And I got like Charlotte Smith, who was my breakout room instructor and one of my very good friends, like lovingly bitch slapped me and was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you not sending more emails? I send 3 emails a day after every webinar I do. And I was like, oh. So don't be afraid to send too many emails. I would recommend at least 2 more afterwards. Learn from me. So I'll talk about what those 2 could be. I give you examples in the systems. But yeah, sell your program freaking hard after this. Be like, this is the week I want you to join. This is what I want you to do. And that's what I'm going to be doing next week. After I do the webinar on Monday, I'm going to use that week to sell the crap out of 3 more spots for my one-on-one coaching. And then I'll sell to a waitlist until April for the rest of them. But I'm going to be like, I'm going to sell like, if I can sell 20 spots, I will, like next week. I'm like, that would be cool. After that, put all of the emails and put all those people after your webinar. They've done the webinar, move them over to the outreach tracker so you can continue the conversation with them after the webinar, even if they don't book a consult. I just talked with another one of my clients who this is unheard of. Like, I would say I have like 5% to 7% of people respond to me when I message them. They have 70% people are responding. It's ridiculous. Like, and she has a teammate that is doing it for her. She hired somebody, and like they're talking to 50 people a day. So it's like wild. Like, they have a ton. And what happened is they offered to do a consult. The people didn't say anything. And then they just left them. I was like, wait, you have all these people and like you didn't even put them on the list that they're like kind of interested. I'm like, they responded to you 4 times. They were like, hey, thank you for following. They were like, hey, this is my kid. This is the problems. This is what's going on. And they signed up for the webinar, but they didn't sign up for the consult. So they didn't put them on the tracker at all. And I was like, no. If you're talking to somebody about coaching at all, if they sign up for this webinar, that means that we need to talk to them a ton. I had a client of mine who I coached yesterday, and she came to every single webinar for 2 years before she bought from me. That does not make her money any less green, but I still kept talking to her every single month, and it was very helpful. Okay, so these are just some helpful technology things. The word lightbox is something that you might see. I looked everywhere. I think of it, I used to always call it a pop-up. Like if you're on a website, it's a pop-up. The new word is lightbox. So if you see the word lightbox and your brain is confused, that is what they mean by pop-up. I think it's just a fancier way. And I've seen it on like 6 website providers now. So now I know that that's like now a term. So if you see it, don't be overwhelmed by it. You can have a lightbox about it. QR codes, they're helpful. I enjoy putting them on my presentation. So if somebody's watching it on their computer, they can scan it with their phone, still be engaged in the presentation, but also be signing up for a consult simultaneously. There's this thing called Slido, and I have a link for it, but it lets you ask 3 questions and it collects data per question, and it's like a quiz. So people can answer the quiz like it's like, how confident do you feel about your goal? 1 being not confident at all, 10 being I'm super confident. And you can see in real time, people can answer. Just a fun little tech tool. Slides Go. I find that a lot of people like Canva for their PowerPoints. The reason why I don't like Canva or PowerPoint, like the Word version of PowerPoint, is it doesn't automatically update. So if I change any of the words in this slide, if I say, oh, I don't want to talk about joining your Facebook group anymore. If I change this one like word, I don't have to go into my website to change the presentation. If let me just tell you what I mean by that. If I were to go into the long-term plan, and that's not a good example because I don't have the PowerPoint there. If I go into it's like, where is it? If I go into this webinar that I did with Taryn, and I'm like, oh, we had a typo here, we need a period or something like that, I can go in and change it without having to go into my website editor, go in, do all this nonsense. I can just change it on there and the link will change as well. Everything is figure outable. I love that, Sharon. Does anyone um have any suggestions for shortening the learning curve or starting on Instagram or Facebook? Squarespace website built is great, but yes. So an easier way to shorten the learning curve. The short answer is no. It's like I was like, it is you, but once you do it once, it's just like these emails, Sharon. Once you go on and you figure out, okay, this is how I post, this is how I do a reel. You have to do it like I would say 5 to 7 times where you're like kind of banging your head against the wall and you're like, this is horrible. And then it gets easier. So you just gotta have to be in that space of like, might suck for a little bit, but that's okay. And I will get through it. YouTube tutorials are awesome. Definitely look into YouTube tutorials for everything. And a lot of the website providers also have that too. Gmail labels, that's what I was gonna say. It's like you can group people. So if you wanted to send your emails with Gmail, you could just group and be like, all these people are in this segment. And then I tried to do a tutorial and it was taken down because YouTube was like, you showed people's emails. That's illegal. And I said, oh, that's my bad. It was consensual, but nope. So I can't show you how to do that, but maybe somebody else on the YouTubes has it. And then also, if you do want to add a signature to your email, YStamp is on there. So this is Slido. This is the website I was saying does quizzes. You can um, go into that and be like, oh, it's like, it's just like a fun quiz thing. I like to make things as interactive as possible. So if everyone were to scan this and be like, what's taking away your time? If I make the poll live in Slidos, it would show up. I don't think it'll show up right now, but still pretty fun. You can see all my old print. Look at my old website. I was like, I switched it a lot since then, but you can see all my old ones. Quick eval, 5 wins. What do I want to do? Worked, improved differently, changed the presentation. And there we go. Heavy learning day. But this is, I think, the last of the heavy learning days. The financial projections, that kind of stuff is like more tech stuff. But this is like a heavy, like, okay, deep understanding. So let's go into, I'll put this link in the chat, minimize me. And Sharon, love, if you can put Paige's info in just in case that Missy wants to see it, just because she's not here today. Or just so we can always reference it, because the chat disappears. I don't know where the chat goes. So go ahead and minimize me. Minimize your screen.
You can save chats actually.
Really?
Yeah, I was on a webinar the other day.
How? Because I want to see who joined my webinars also. I was
don't
just
think
talking. Yeah,
think
go ahead.
you can do it live. So at the bottom of the chat, there's like 3 little dots next to it. I've lost
Yep,
this.
I'm doing it. Mm-hmm.
And then you just press it and it says it saves to your drive. Do you see
You're
it?
shitting me. Save chat. That's
Mm.
hilarious. Can I
Yeah.
save participants, Denise?
I don't know about that.
Because I was like, so my mom wrote down people who attended the last webinar, and I was like, nobody bought from like this like webinar I did in September. And I had people message me after I said that, and they were like, I actually bought, and I was on the webinar. And I was like, Susan, just kidding. My mom was incredible. Like, it's just like, she like didn't write down that people actually came, so I didn't reach out to them, which is funny. But I ended up working out. Okay, 2 of the webinars. Write down your concepts. I love us, and like this is just like so fun. I just love coaching you guys so much. It's a delight. I hope you guys have as much fun as I do. And learn a lot, of course. So here is this concept breakdown spreadsheet. You will of course put your pillars in. If you want help breaking out the subtopics in our coaching today, I got you, or tomorrow, or in the chat stream, all the things. Go ahead and move that. Go to your 6-figure systems Google Drive. Create a new folder called 7 webinars. Move that bad boy here. Go back to the classroom. Make a copy of the protocol template. Save it. Go back to your drive. Go to 7 webinars. Move it there. Go to the evaluation. Save it to 7 webinars. And then come on back to me whenever you're done with that. One of the things that, so you can look here. Oh no. I was like, if you look in the whole material, you can see I put in here each of the emails. So you can take, I just copied and pasted the words. You could literally copy and paste these words and make your own exact same email for my emails. And then I include screenshots of each. We went over the first like intro, second email. Why does that look horrible? I was like, hold on, I'll like make that look prettier. But it's like the first email, second email, 3 days prior. And then the third email is an hour before. And then the 4th email is the one that I showed you guys, like during the email, sign up for a consult. Then, why is this such an interesting format? I don't know, but that's okay. So it's not snot, by the way. I was like, something that I didn't include on the video that I just talked about, like with you guys here. Here are some ideas. I was like, what happened? Sorry, this looks so insane, people. I'm like, I do not know what happened. So you could do one about your program info. So this is like the 5th email, like if you think about like 5 emails. And then I have one about money back guarantees. I have one about like what's on a consult call, what is coaching, what are some frequently asked questions. These are all other, these are 2 more examples of emails. And then these are like posts that I did about like what's on a consult call, what is coaching. And the resources, this is Slido, the one with the quizzing, Slides Go, which is used to have different templates. I'll show you that real quick. It looks like this. You have a ton of different templates. For free, you can save them. And if it has a crown, you have to pay for it. But if you click on the ones without a crown, you can click through and see what they look like. Download it as a Google Slides. And then you can make it your own about whatever you would like to talk about. Canva, if anyone needs it, there. My old exam presentations. I talk about how to share a document and force a copy. So with like each of these, I think we talked about that before, but like you go into the hyperlink of it, and instead of having the word edit here, you just hit copy. But there's a whole video explaining it and how to get a Jazzy email signature. So with that being said, I know that was a lot, but you guys are crushing it. Anise, I know you wanted some coaching.
Yes.
So do you still want coaching?
Wait a minute. Where are you? Wait a minute.
Take your time. Start with a win.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, I've completely lost you on my screen. Jeez.
Oh no.
I did a webinar this morning to 94 people.
What?
But not
Weinsteins.
not to sell my product. It was to the Institute of Sales Professionals.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it was really fun, and it was wait a minute, I actually can't, I don't know what I'm doing now. Yes, I've completely lost the plot today. And it was the secrets of using your body and your voice to influence and persuade others.
Love it.
Oh, there we go. Start my video. Thank you. You
I got
gave me.
you. I was like, I got you.
Life raft there. I still can't see you, but that's fine. It will come. It will come.
It'll
Yeah.
come.
So it just means I'm slightly oh, that's why I couldn't see. Yeah, so I'm feeling slightly out of the loop this morning. But it was good. It was really good.
What do you want? You want some
yeah.
coaching on your pillars?
Yeah, so it was really weird. So I had a bit of a spiral out last week. So I had 2 networking things on. Oh, I'll completely change I'll show you I'll share my screens in a minute.
Okay.
Because I've got my pillars differently.
It's different. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, you can keep that one up, that's fine. So
I totally didn't mean to like just throw you. I was like, you messaged that you want some coaching on pillars.
No, it's good.
And
It's
I
good.
threw you to the docs. I was like, I'm so sorry.
I wouldn't be any more brighter in about half an hour, so don't worry about it. It's just, yeah, brain's gone. Yes, so what happened last week was did a networking thing, 2 networking things, and both of them were interesting feedback, but put me in a tailspin. So the first one, the host came back and said, you need to be more precise with who you're offering to. You can't just say entrepreneurs and small business owners from 3 to 10 years. You need to be a bit more niched. I was like, okay, all right, I'll listen. I'll see if that's relevant. And then The evening, I went to a networking event, and there was probably 4 other life coaches there. It happens a lot. And so everyone I sort of spoke to said, oh yeah, oh, you're a business life coach. Oh, I just spoke to her over there. She's also a life coach. And I walked, and nothing landed. Absolutely nothing landed. So I walked away from that thinking, okay, what am I supposed to be listening to right now? So I came up with, I've got another coach. So we did some work on this work on the Friday, and I've changed, and actually I put it on the classroom chat to all of you to get your feedback, and then it disappeared. So I did it last night, and I got
Oh.
better response yesterday. Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. I'm going to call myself a mindset strategist.
Okay. Love.
Partly because the feedback I'm getting from my consults is the bit that they are really liking is the mindset work and the prioritization, the decision making, and the interpersonal skills.
Okay. And,
Right? So those are the 3 that I'm getting a lot of traction with.
okay.
All right.
So before we get into this, I want to know, what is your goal? How many more
wait.
clients would you want?
Wait, sorry, go okay, yeah. What do I want? I want
Let's say just for January.
January, I want 5.
Okay. 5 new clients.
Yeah.
How many consults have you done? And have you done any it's okay if I was like,
That's right.
because you said in my consults I'm getting feedback.
Yeah. So it's in the so how many have I done? I've done 3 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these people all said yes, no, maybe so. How many current clients do you have?
They all said I haven't got any.
They said what?
No, they said no.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So 3 consults said no. And when did these happen? Like recently?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so I think your brain is like, got it, which I love. We do want to get this figured out. Your brain's like, we've got 5 new clients. We had 3 consults. We got to know. If you, okay, tell me what are your thoughts about like this.
So what are my thoughts?
Like, I think there might be a thought that this isn't working, so we need to change it.
It's more about when because I'm doing networking once a week, and you say the things that you say. Even though I was originally saying something about energy and burnout, the question, the people kind of got it, but that was after they've had it. So like, oh yeah, I had that last year. So the question that I was going through was, how will they know that they are burning out and therefore seek help?
Okay.
Because a lot of people that I spoke to have already burned
Gotten
out.
over the burnout.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I thought, well, so that will come out because it'll be in the energy, but they won't necessarily be seeking. So the entrepreneurs at the moment that I'm talking to are
They want to be less stressed, manage their time, and create and confident.
no, that they don't want confidence.
Okay.
No, they don't want that at all. They're pretty confident actually.
Okay.
That their mindset, their resilience needs support, but they don't say they're lacking confidence.
Okay.
What they're saying is they want help with when they get beaten up, picking themselves up again. That's resilience.
Okay. So
That's why I'm changing it to that's why the mindset so how I went in that yesterday, I'm still using, at the beginning when I spoke to you about business and life.
Yep.
I spoke about why I bring those together.
Mhm.
Whereas I'm doing exactly the same thing, but I'm just using different words. So I'm now saying, doesn't matter how many systems you've got in place. It's exactly what you do, by the way. I'm
Right.
just doing. So doesn't matter how many systems you've got in place. If you don't have the mindset, then the systems it basically doesn't matter, because they can all be all these shiny toys, but actually you still get beaten down, and doesn't matter how great your branding might be or your marketing, you just don't have the energy to get out of bed. You just want to crawl into bed,
Right.
right?
And so like with this though,
Yeah.
with the mindset strategist, the prioritization and interpersonal skills,
Yeah.
what results does that create for them?
So it creates a resilient CEO who has got strategies that makes their business successful.
Okay. So that's what we want to be like focusing on.
Okay, can I just show you I'm going to share my
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah.
I'm going to write this down rather than, and then you can amend mine.
Absolutely.
This is what I actually sent you guys yesterday. Sorry, I'm absolutely wiped out. You've probably heard my voice.
You were doing great. I was like, Anise, you were doing awesome. And it's within your, I was like, I think I've got so many, I was like, I've got, yeah, let's go for it.
No. Here we go. Oh, and I've changed. Oh,
Uh-huh.
no, wait a minute. Wait. Sorry.
They're all good. Do you want to pull it up? And because I know that, like, I think Sharon had a super quick, it might have been a quick question that,
Go. Yeah.
look here, keep pulling it up.
Yeah.
And Sharon had a quick question that I was like, I feel like I could just answer because she was asking about, and then I'll come to Tammy after Sharon because Sharon asked in the group real quick. So Sharon said, um, fi- if is 6 months 26 weeks or 24 weeks?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, so that's a great question. So there are technically 52 weeks in the year. So half of the year would be 26. But for me, I was thinking that there's 4 weeks in a month. So 4 times 6 is 24. So I think the question is less about like, and then, but you said like how to um offer my 6 month program. I would say you just tell them what 6 months of coaching is. That you just tell them what number of sessions it is. You just get to pick. You could do 25, 24, 26. Some people say 6 months of coaching is 12 sessions and they do it bi-weekly. So it could be any and all of the above, but I just wanted to answer that for you like super quick because I was like, I know that's like a quickish question. Does that answer what I was like, does that answer like the like number of sessions?
Well, what happened is you have yours for 24 and several others. So when I did my 6 months, I had it on my website and I had 24. But then when I was working with this client who I just signed and I coached her on Saturday,
You just signed her.
yes.
Woo!
So she was asking me when I was giving her the dates, like I sent out an email to schedule it on her calendar. So we have every Saturday basically from now until July. She's like, well, wait a minute. So when I did Google Calendar, I put in 24.
Yeah.
And she questioned that and thought it should be, she
She's
had
like-
it more. Yeah, so it was the 26. So then I was like, that's right, that is. So then I was just trying to understand the strategies others were using, because that's not the first time. I mean, I saw that on your site, but I saw it on others too.
Yeah.
So
I
I
would
was
just
just
say
trying to figure out how to address it in the future.
I would just say terms and conditions. Say it's like 6 months is 24
Okay.
sessions.
And I did that, but she was looking at 6 months. She looked at it as more 26. So she was looking at
Gotcha.
how long we'd be coaching together.
Yeah.
And
I'd be
I
like,
went
that's
ahead and
total-
I went ahead and honored the 26.
Sure.
And I updated my agreement, but I was just trying to figure out how to go moving forward and then also what to have on my website. So
Yeah, you could say that. Like I'm working with someone for 6 months and it's 36 sessions. And like so like it could like it's 6 months is I would just say it's like the general time frame is 6 months, but also it could get pushed back and things like that too.
Okay.
Great question.
Thank you.
That was a quick clarification. Anise, did you find the doc?
Finally.
Also, Sharon, congrats on your first paying client. Woo.
So good, Sharon. So good. Okay, so there you go.
Okay. Love.
The black is you, lose me
Yeah.
and my spiel.
Okay. So I think that I think that we can always continue refining our pillars. Always, for sure. And those kind of different things. What I'm noticing is I'm thinking that based on the evidence your brain is collecting about the four people who you talked to that, or the four other coaches and things you said didn't land, the feedback from the host and the three no's, I think your brain has made it think that like if you had a elevator speech and super clear pillars, then you would have signed all three of those people and or signed five more. You'd have like all these different things. And I noticed the reason why I'm saying this is that it looks like you also changed the name to Champion Growth.
I did.
Okay, so the thing is, we can always change the circumstances for sure. But I think that I would love to change the circumstances from like a thought that like I could sell this for sure. Five people want whatever I have to sell without
Mm.
having to change the circumstances because like five people want me as a coach. The semantics don't matter. This is it does and it doesn't in the same breath. Like I sold the business fulfillment initiative and I had the most insane pillars that didn't make any sense. It wasn't clear if it was 3 to 10. It wasn't clear what your income was. Like none of that was clear. And 9 people signed up for this group the first round. So it's like that's how I know that it might be your thoughts about the pillars versus like I was like, I know I can help people. I'm going to find these people. This might not be super clear, but it's going to get better. Versus I think that like I'm going to figure out how to sell the business fulfillment initiative. I figured out how to sell it and then I changed it versus like
Mm.
changing it before selling it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because I noticed, I think that when we like, I think this might be the third name change I've seen from you. And that's what made me think of it. I was like, wait, hold on. I was like, this might be a trend.
Yeah.
Like, isn't it the third name change that you've had, like potentially?
Not since we did our first pillars.
We did a consult and it was different. And then it was the pillars and that's different. And now we're changing it like again. That's where I was thinking the three
Yes.
name changes. So I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
It was like,
I'll tell you why the business, even you and I were laughing about it. It was like, it's it like Focus Guide to the Galaxy. And I haven't said it once.
okay.
I write it, but I don't say it because I actually can't get the words out of my mouth.
Okay. So
So that's why I changed it. But
then
I
we
hear
could,
what
I
you're
was
saying.
like, that totally works then. I was like,
Yeah.
if it's too long and complicated, then totally
Yeah.
change it.
And also going back to your thing about what's the result. Anyway, but that's
Yeah.
we can. I think what I'm also hearing from you is more about if I can get the system down for selling, then I can sell anything.
Yes.
That's what you're
That's
saying.
exactly what I'm saying. And what I'm
Actually, don't worry about what I'm selling. The 6 months that we're spending together is about, can you sell a
any
sheep in a purple jumper?
precisely.
By
And
doing-
because
Okay, I got you.
especially for you, Anise, because you coach entrepreneurs.
Mm,
So if you're like, if I can sell anything, I can teach you to how sell anything because that is a piece of the mindset strategy and and the interpersonal skills of the resilience. So essentially, like if you want to teach resilience to these business owners, you've given that as a gift to yourself. And it's like if I can learn how like the resilience to push through, even when it seems like this might not be that I think would be a more like so whatever you want to call yourself is great. But just the fact that like you can call yourself anything and compel people to buy, that would be my only thought. Now, champion growth, I think that like I think that's awesome. But if it is for entrepreneurs, maybe it says we put something about like entrepreneurship there. So that's the
Mm.
only place of like strategy / clarity that I would maybe give you. Something about like business, something like business. Because when I hear champion, I don't know who it is. Like,
Okay.
so that would just be like my only like piece of like act like just tangibility.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? Because I think
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we
I do. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's good that I haven't actually massively changed.
because we called it like the business leader. So I
And
think
the
that was
business
before.
side functionality. Yeah, that was the original
So
one.
if we have like, so maybe we say like the business growth initiative, the business growth
Yeah.
something. Like if you have something like that, because you have that would be the word growth in champion, like instead of champion, the champion is the CEO or like the CEO growth container, the CEO growth, something like that. That would be the only piece of feedback as far as the name goes, as far as clarity, because I like the word champion, but I think that that could just be like a little bit clearer. But like, I want you to think about like this goal with all these, with people saying no. I want you to
Mhm.
think about like what you can think instead to be like the version of you that can sell anyone on anything
Mm.
that you offer. Selling 5 people on your coaching, whatever it's called. Even if it's like
Mm.
what would your thought need to be then?
I know what I'm doing.
Yes. How does that feel?
Like I need to wake up tomorrow morning and I do know what I'm doing. I do know what I do. I know I do a good job. It's fine.
Because I think that like so, and then you can change stuff if you want. But I mean, like I'm just saying that like I think it's a useful skill to be like, yeah, like I know what I'm doing. Everyone should work with me. I don't care what it's called. Like you should just work with me. It's gonna be like the best months of your life. You're gonna completely change. It's gonna be amazing.
Okay. So I'm gonna feel really resourceful.
Okay. I was like, and if you want, still post the pillars, still post it for feedback. And so I'm gonna say still post for information, but I think it's interesting for um like I want you to be I would also love a little bit of like confidence there too. Like a dash. It's like a smidge of confidence to add in there that like whatever pillars I have, like I mean like 7,500 for 6 months.
Yeah.
If we're thinking about that, like they're business owners, it's an investment for them. No matter what they paid me for, I'm gonna make it worth their while. You know what I mean? Like so, like I'm just adding like finding the confidence for it. And if you want 5 new clients by January, right? That would let's figure that out. What did you do to get these 3 consults in? You figured out something to bring consults in.
Yeah, no, that was just literally just the what we've been doing, which is the marketing
Okay.
on those. So what's those have brought in? Yeah, yeah.
So I would love to the marketing piece. If it took X amount of posts, maybe we take a look at those posts. So it's like how many posts did it take to bring in 3 consults?
So they started in. Well, actually, no. So most the 3 a week. No, I was doing them before Christmas. 3 a week for the
Okay.
last I don't know,
Week.
6
And
weeks.
then how many people did you talk to?
Your way?
Or anyway,
Oh, oh God. Oh, well, when I do my networking, I probably speak to about 10 people a week, like live.
okay, awesome. So 10 people a week.
Yeah,
And then you did a presentation to 94 people today.
that was today. Yeah.
Okay. So do you have access to these 94 people?
No, I don't. It wasn't through me.
Did you have, can you send out your information so that they
Yes.
could book a call?
Yes.
Amazing. So let's do more of these webinars too. Like that sounds like great positioning. Bring your, and the resourcefulness, you have paid for resourcefulness from us. So I would love to see, some consult evals.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to put them in the like, and we can problem solve it together and be like, okay, what point? Here's here's my notes from the consult. At what point did I feel like they were like, not right now? keep the building the relationship with them and post in group. I would love to also, for any, like, if you decide to do a webinar for your people, we can like be like, okay, let's figure out how to sell the crap out of whatever I'm selling on this webinar. Let's figure out how to, and if we need to change the word confidence, feel free to like change that word like here,
Yeah, that's fine.
and let's
I'll
like
put that.
freaking go for it.
Okay. All right. No, I hear that. And maybe I should just get one in for the end of January because I'm kind of on a roll, as it were.
Yeah. What if you do same thing?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could do the exact same webinar for your people. Like that would be awesome. And I want you to just like hold space that like I not only I know what I'm doing, but it like the next layer of like 5 people want this in January and I'm gonna find them.
Yeah.
Want this in the next whatever this is. Whatever
Yeah.
this is. 5 people, and I would say even like 5 people need this. They need your coaching in the next 2 weeks. I'm gonna find them. Like I'm gonna do what I can to find them.
Mm.
How does that feel?
Yeah, since your lead management thing, I mean, it's taking me forever. I mean, Jess, you were saying you've missed one. It's taking me forever to get back to that one on the 26th of December. I just don't have the time. Anyway, I'm getting there. Yeah, so I am reaching out to people through Instagram. And obviously all the people that I meet are all warm, so I'm reaching out to them. So that's, yeah, it is getting there. It's getting there. And last week was good. I was structured and I was structured with my leads outreach, it felt really good.
And like, you know how you talked about like the energy? I want you to be in the energy of like with those leads as you're talking to them. Like 5 of you want this. Like, I can't wait to meet who it is. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Like that's like one of your strengths as a coach for them. Show them that before they work with you. That's gonna be like, oh my God, this girl is confident. I love this. Like she is totally not burnt out. She's got total work-life balance. She's killing it. How did she do this? I want to work with her.
Mm.
Energy. And if we have this goal of 5 new clients, we're going to figure out your formula. This is our best guess. These 3 posts, 10 people doing a bit webinar. This is our best guess to sign these 5 people in the next 2 weeks. Let's make it happen. And then we'll get data so we can be like, okay, maybe I need to do some more posts. Maybe I need to meet more people. Maybe I need to do a collaborative webinar again, something like that. And then we'll have data to go off of. But you did create a result of 3 consults, which is awesome. Now we just need to figure out how to convert them.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Before I do yet
Of
another,
course.
not
We
the
still
right.
we can change the C's, but I would just like to change the T's for just this one. And then we can change them later.
Mm. Thank you, love. That's great.
Of
I'm
course.
gonna sign off. So I'll see you guys later.
Okay. Well, we love you. Go get some sleep. Get some rest.
Yeah.
Congratulations on 94 people. That's amazing. Post that shit everywhere. And you got this.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Tammy.
Thank you. Okay,
Ready to
this
speed
was
round.
super good. And also, I feel like I just got done drinking fire hose.
Yeah.
It's a good fire hose. The water tastes good. Okay, so starting with the win, my win is being at a touch over 5,000 already for the month. Like literally God gets all the glory on that because I have been very disorganized on this end. And I feel like I'm fumbling forward.
That's the
So,
best. But forward is
Uh,
always great.
yes. That being said, I am still working through these pillars and going, oh my gosh, like my brain is going, okay, I have ideas on how to pull content, but it feels like there's a disconnect somewhere still for me
Mhm.
there. And then also like looking at the pillars, it's like, okay, like I'm kind of figuring out, okay, well, what does it take to have a resilient life? And like literally my program, I just wanted to be called Resilient Life.
Mhm.
And so I'm looking at this and it's like, okay, well, we have resilient money, we have, like the stress component of it, we have relationships. And then like in terms of, I'm almost thinking like if I were just to focus on 3 pillars that I could dig even deeper, versus having 4 or
5.
5. But
Okay.
then also like I see the thing where it's like, okay, yeah, we want to have goals because your goals are also what help you to get pull through on getting back up, because resilience is all about getting back up. And when you get better at it, you get knocked down, you get back up faster. So like that's part of like what I can see. I think where I'm getting overwhelmed is just kind of like the behind the scenes of connecting the dots of it still.
Yeah.
Like something's not clicking, whereas when I can do carousels all day long on debt
Anything.
specifically,
Yeah.
or finances, or reels all day long on that stuff. But flipping and refocusing and redirecting on now doing a coaching program where it's mindset, leading with mindset. It's almost like, oh, okay, I took the bait that most people would raise their hands going, yes, I need some of that, and then I kind of baby step them into the program, right? So like they would start with me at the 150, and then they would say, okay, yeah, I need a lot more of what you have to offer, because clearly it's not about strategy or tactic at all.
Mhm.
And so I'm not really sure how to
Bridge the gap.
bridge the gap. And then it's like I feel like then I get stuck in the feels of, oh, I should know this. Dang it, I feel like we coached around this already, and I keep putting back the outer layers of the onion.
Not at all. Like
Okay.
seriously, we could coach on it 50 million times. Please do not feel weird about it. Now,
Okay.
for you, what I would do is I would take a look at we put a lot of mini bullets for you. So
Mm-hmm.
I would think money is for sure something that you feel extremely confident about.
Oh
But
yeah.
again, we want to position yourself as a life coach, not a necessarily like a money coach at this
Right.
point. Like we don't want to be you want to do more than that. So I would think about what is the next. Now, you were talking about doing a pillar a day, but it's sounding like if you're having a hard time getting in the swing of just one pillar, to do switch from pillar to pillar to pillar every day might make your brain even more confused. Like if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
So
I'm
it's like
thinking like once I get it, it's like it almost
in the
feels like I'm
swing.
learning how to do math. Once I get it, I can just, like blaze through it, but I gotta get the initial step,
Yep.
because my brain can see this, does this crazy thing where it sees in layers and it connects dots before I fully understand the whole process. I don't know if
Yes.
that makes sense.
Oh, 100%. So for
Okay.
you, I want you to think about like, because clearly, like, and I think that your brain always goes back to like doing reels or posts about potentially money because it's like, oh, this is something I know, I'm familiar with, it's great.
It's
So what we
comfortable.
could, it's simple to you, right? So, but like with the resilient life, we want to do a little bit more than that. So this upcoming week and or into next week, I want you to think about the second pillar that you have the most confidence about.
Pillar that you have the most-
What would that second pillar be?
Probably stress, the component of
Okay.
like stress,
What do you want to
because
talk about with stress? What is your personal story of why
yes,
stress is a part of the Resilient Life Initiative or program or thing? And this is C for cold. Yeah, I'm just gonna put it
circumstance. Oh,
or
cool.
hot.
Mm.
So what
Uh,
is your post about? Like, why is stress something that you experienced and that you can help other people with?
well, it ties into, I feel like for me,
What's like a
stress.
time when you struggled with stress?
Oh yeah. Like right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Right now.
Um, it feel like, so stress to me is a huge component of how fast you get back up.
Okay. When was the time when you fell down and got back up?
Yes, right now. This is me getting back up.
Okay.
So let me see. My brain keeps going to money examples. Sorry.
I
I'm
know
trying
it does because it feels so confident there.
yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
want to challenge you. Actually, because I don't want to put your brain into a state of stress because I know what's going to happen is if I try and put you on the spot right now, your brain might be like having a hard time. And I want you to feel like I'm holding your feet to the fire.
Oh, no,
I don't-
no, I don't feel that. Like, I'm like,
Okay,
coach,
I w-
coach
I was
hard,
like,
girl. You're my
okay, so I'm like,
permission.
okay, so let's just think of the topics first. Okay, so stress is the most confident topic. After
Yeah.
stress, which of your pillars, relationships, confidence, or direction or goals?
It would be direction.
Okay.
It would be, like I feel like direction ties in because goals could fall under direction, but like when you know where you're going away from external influence or away from beliefs and patterns you've picked up from everybody else, that leads
Works.
into keep being able to get back up for your own reason versus someone pushing you and saying, get up.
Yes. And also, Sharon and Jess, by the way, I just realized the time. I have time to go over, but if you need to roll, I will answer every and all question in the chat and things like that after. But okay, so we've got the direction and goals. Then we
Mhm.
have what would be like the third,
The third is probably going to be relationships.
relationships and confidence. Okay. So let's, before I ask you
Well, wait, hang
relationships,
on.
huh?
No, I mean, I probably, oh, see, they're like neck and neck. I
Well, let's just
probably
like leave it as
coached.
is. Let's just like
Okay.
put, okay. So in your pillars, one of the reasons why I want this to be like make things a little easier is let's go into stress and it's like overwhelmed, stressed, pulled in many directions, don't feel like they have enough time and they don't
Hmm.
have enough time. So that was the thing that we said is the biggest problem. Is there
Yeah.
a time when you felt overwhelmed, stressed, and pulled in a lot of directions and felt like you
Oh,
didn't have enough time that
yeah.
you
When I
overcame?
started my like when I started the journey of being an entrepreneur, like I
Yes.
didn't have my
Okay.
head from my tail, and I'm still, I'm still chasing my tail sometimes in it.
Yes. And so that is what we call like the hero's journey. We
Hmm.
want to create you as a relatable character almost
Relatable
that
character.
people can jump in on. So they can be like, oh, okay, like I love Tammy's story. It's like, I love seeing that like she was like working this 9 to 5. She didn't want to work like do this anymore. So she decided to start this business from scratch. It was stressful for her, but then she was able to overcome it. And I really like her. They're like, "Oh, I'm getting to know her and her personal story." Like, "Oh, wow. That is like incredible. I can't believe she did that. She has this awesome, adorable son." And that makes me get to know Tammy at a deeper level for the Resilient Life program.
Okay. So then this is like basically it's taking the client journey, but twisting it and kind of like showing my journey through the eyes of what the client would expect to experience.
Yes. And how you overcame it. That's what makes
Okay.
you the best person for them.
Okay.
Then, what is, if we go back to your pillars, then we can
Hmm.
be like, okay, if something that's overwhelming is
Hmm.
time, other people, and energy,
Hmm.
what it's like we talked a lot about time. Let's do like a little like a time management trick, like a
Okay.
time management trick,
That would be the value nurture post. Okay.
just like a post about that
Sure.
again. And then for the hot leads, have you coach someone and help them with time?
Hmm.
What was their name or initials if you want to say them?
JS.
JS. Then you share about JS. Okay. Now, if we go to goals, what was a time when you felt like you didn't know what you want and you were told what you wanted by others, but you didn't feel like it was right?
So I'm trying to think of something that would be good for it would probably be when I chose to make the decision to leave the company I was with.
And how scary it was?
Oh yeah, like all the unknowns and all the, I was used to getting a paycheck, and now I became my own marketing plan by Jess, and became my own all the things.
Yes. And it's like sometimes when you go for your goals, it's scary, but that's where resilience comes in. I know
Hmm.
I learned it firsthand. Do you see how? Okay. So then for the warm leads, what's something that you could help them in a mini post that they can like read and they're like, ah, it's like what is your 2024 vision list? It's like what's a like for every goal that you have, list 5 whys and you'll be better. Like
Yeah.
list, like, so like, cause you had like their whys is important. Whys
So,
for,
so basically, I'm trying to kind of, my brain's kind of going looking for a formula. So basically, cold is the client journey. Warm is
in
the
your,
tips, the strategy, little sprinkle there. The hot is a story example of someone who I did this with.
yep, you got it. Look at your, I was like, yes, that's exactly it. You said it so
Okay.
beautifully.
Okay.
Okay.
And
And then
so when I'm doing this, the strategy basically is like on Mondays, I could talk about the client journey. Wednesdays, I could talk about the tips or whatever. Fridays, I could talk about the story, and or I could do all 3 in one day, pick a different pillar, do another 3 in one day, pick it, or the next day.
I wouldn't do 3 in a day. I would stick to like, I think that would be, if I were you, let's start with the first way and then get used to it. Cause right now, like your brain is like, so it took me a little bit to figure this out. So let's do all of these at one day at one time. I was like, I love
Playing
that.
catch up.
Like, let's go. I love the initiative. And I'm like, let's just spend a week really feeling like you get stress, that you speak about stress so that you become more than just stress about money, but stress about life as well and stress about time. And you get that like comfortable, you feel that comfort with this pillar, comfort with the direction and goals, comfort with the relationship pillar, comfort with the confidence. And then when you feel like, oh, I could talk about stress 3 times in one day, then we do what you were saying you would adapt the marketing to. But right now, I think that like if you were to, like, that's like being like, so I don't know how to do this, so I want to run a marathon. I'm just like, we could. And like, do you see how it's like, it would be if you talked about all of this in one day, like that would be a lot of posting to work on. And I just want to like get your confidence there. Like it's quality over quantity, and the algorithm will see that.
Okay. Because I was thinking like I tend to post very short, sweet, to the point.
Yep.
And so I'm like, if I take that same strategy into this, um, I
And like
almost feel like, and I don't know if maybe it's my brain is kind of going, oh, I got to play catch up because now I'm finally starting to get this.
I think that's what your brain is thinking. I was like, hold on. I think that this is like, because it's like, so it's like, I have like marketing, posting, overworking, 2024, result, selling, consult, offer. Like, do
Mhm.
you see how I'm saying? Like, nurturing. If you have a big audience, this is about leads. Missy, like, it's like having all those different things there. I think, if you just have those as like bigger words, like if you have like stress, because right now we want to like create that, but it doesn't have to be like, oh man, I have to play catch up. I know
Mhm.
exactly what you mean. You're like, oh, well, like now I need to get the algorithm to recognize that these are my pillars and this is what I'm doing.
Mhm.
But if we have like stress, like just one big word, stress here, and then we've got the Resilient Life Initiative, and we start to build that brand name recognition for this, then that's going to be a lot easier. Because right now we've got so much, so many amazing posts, but I think now we like scale it to like the resilient life positioning versus like a lot of posts, like the quick posts.
Okay. So it basically, if I were to go back and take the photos I did of me holding, the Jesus calling, and it's just kind of like this would be relationship, and I can do relationships and bubbles, and then I could share.
Like literally, like
Like,
where it says like free IG audit, like relationship trick, like something like it's like like help for your relationships, um like you see how I've got like it's like big, 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 big. That's what you could. That's what I'm thinking because it looks like it's clear that you post. I mean, like you've a ton of posts that are going out, and I want anyone who comes on your page, I want them to be like, the Resilient Life Initiative is for me.
Mhm.
This is awesome. Or the Resilient Life is awesome. See a post about the Resilient Life, and then see things about stress. See things about like relationships, these, and like go through and they're like, oh, she talks about the things that like money. She talks about this like a lot. Like, and they can see it in a more, at least for Instagram, and it's a more visual like market. And like
Okay.
I think that could be really helpful. And then if the words match the visuals, then whew, got gold. Do you want to send me some picture? Like, do you want to send me some stuff and I can give you like feedback in like the chat? Like, you could send me your canvas and be like, is this font big enough? Or like that kind of stuff. Like, I could totally help you with that if you need it.
Okay. Yeah, I might take you up on that. I don't do a whole lot in Canva. Like I know how to use it. It's just having, capacity and stuff. And um,
Or like even on a reel or something, if you're doing like a reel or something, like having like the words on it, say like relationship, stress, confidence, goals.
mhm. Yeah. Okay. So then just kind of going back through there. Um, so basically I'm taking the problem, which is the client journey, the solution, which is like a tip, and then the
Process
mm,
slash result.
process is the solution.
Yes, the process, it's like this is like the result you get from working with you, and then your process is the program for the hot.
Okay, so got it. Okay. And then okay, so I think I've got that. And
I
then
think you do too.
just trying to think.
Like the way that you said it, you're like, oh, cold is hero's journey, warm is tip, hot is testimonial. I was like, yes, yes. But take a week per topic. There's no rush for the algorithm. You can repost shit to your stories every day. You don't have to come up with something new or 3 new things a day. Like that's a lot. It's a lot of writing and
Okay,
creativity.
so again, the problem is the client journey, the solution is the tips. Process could also be tips, or is that selling?
I would say like so I think what you're saying is like cold is the client journey, warm is the tip, hot is the testimonial, and process, which is a mix of process and result.
Yeah, I think what I was looking at is trying to like label the pillars so that when I go back in here, I could quickly grab and
Ah,
go, oh, this, and that. You can kind of see where I started editing it.
okay, yeah. So I would say that like, yeah, you could think about it like that. I would say like I would say warm it would also be like a piece of your process. Like what we talked about today with the concept breakdown. Like if you were to break down relationships, just kind of like what we did here in your pillars, the like pieces underneath it. That would be what I'd have.
Okay. Okay. I think I get it. I think I-
And guess what? If you are like, that's why you hired me, is to like help you get it. So if you're like, okay, I'm trying to do a cold post, I'm trying to share my story. Does this actually make any sense? I'll be like, no. I'm just kidding. I'll be like, yes, of course it makes sense.
Okay.
How do you feel now?
I think I think it's just a matter of getting in and playing with it a little bit, and then just kind of like tweaking and fine tuning. And then I changed my bio on my
I
Insta.
saw.
However, it didn't quite have enough. I didn't have enough room for are you like how it was phrased on
I
the
think it's great.
ready to.
Like this looks badass.
Okay.
Now we're just gonna make the post follow in line with it.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Of course, of course. Now, Shannon, I would really love to coach you, and I've a little bit more time, but I really have to run to the bathroom. I've been chugging this Red Bull. Are you cool if I run to the bathroom really quick? And then, okay, 2 minute bathroom break, and I will return to these scheduled messages.
Thank you. Tammy, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. I sent you the verbiage for the meaty part of my contract. I emailed it at the start of the class because I was like, oh my gosh, Sharon. And then I said,
Yeah, I just saw that. So
Okay,
that's good. Thank you.
yes, you're welcome. And then I kind of put underlines and blank spaces where you would go in and amend and edit and stuff. I might have missed a couple things, but I did the best with finding everything I could in there for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hopefully that helps. Yeah, absolutely. And that's just kind of like my like with the various styles and things that I do, I literally can just go in. I use Dubsado for the contract signing, and I can just kind of plug and create new templates and stuff. So it makes it really fast for me to send out contract to a client. So
Okay.
hopefully that helps.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a little bit of a learning curve, and I still have those questions I got to ask the attorney that I worked with, so that we talked about. Yeah, no, I went ahead and brought up the Instagram and Facebook because, like, I've watched videos and stuff. It's just, it's kind of like I watch so many videos to learn Squarespace as well. It's just like I want to get to being doing what you guys are doing on Instagram and all of that, and I feel like I mean, I really have no idea what I'm doing. So that's why I was asking if anybody had pointers of like quicker, like, I don't know, like I just shared the one for Squarespace, the page that she shared a lot of stuff and I learned a lot from her. So I didn't know if anybody had somebody like that. So
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just been like build the plane as you fly it. And
Yeah.
the best way for me to learn is just jump in head first, bonus points if it's feet, whatever, but like it's getting yourself out there and then like getting the feedback from people, or like I'm learning to put links in my stories every day. And as a result, like yesterday, I randomly checked my email and they're like, you have a booking for such and such time. And when people book, I know that's instant payment because they have to pay in order to book the time with me for that kind of thing that I put out there.
Okay.
So like it's tapping into Stripe, it's tapping into selling through your stories, storytelling through your stories, and that kind of thing.
Yay.
Oh
Okay.
God. It's a lot of learning by doing, which is unfortunate, but it also, that does mean that there is a learning curve and you will get over the hump. Like I just want you to see that there is the reason why it's called a curve is it's not just like a learning, it's always struggle. It does get a lot easier. I promise. So Sharon, what is a win for you?
Probably my biggest win is that I signed my first paying client and I coached
know.
her on ThoughtWork on Saturday. And I went to an event. We have negative below temperatures here. And I went to an event on Saturday morning in negative temperatures for networking and entrepreneurs as well. So
Oh my God.
wins there.
Love this for you. I was like, I don't love this, but I also love this for you. How I'm just so proud of you for like getting yourself out there. Like so awesome. What can I coach you on today?
Many things, but the one thing I had put in the one thing, so I created and can I share my screen?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, Teresia, I see the Winter Wonderland behind you and it looks just very magical.
Okay. So can you see those?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what I did is I took what you shared, and this is actually what I used with my client. And I asked her to see if she wanted, like, she's going to send this to me, but I asked her if, I basically asked her what works best for her as far as, so this is when my consult with her, and this is where she was on our numbers, and this is where she was after our ThoughtWork call. So I did this, and just if anybody finds this helpful, I have a couple questions here. I did add a section where I put her plan based off of my pillars, and I did add the check-in section. So this is what she'll fill out as well too. So this is all together. My question for you is a couple things. What did you have in mind on the goals here? Is that related to your pillars or what they're working on each week? And then my other question was, I watched the training on how to create the graph like you graphed, but I don't completely understand how to do that.
Okay.
So because at the end of this, I want to have these numbers that she fills in, then create one of those graphs so we can kind of look at that, but I wasn't sure quite how to do that.
Okay. So first thing is with the monthly goals,
Okay.
I usually would take a look at your big overarching plan for the next 6 months, look at her lowest category, which is time management. And then I would take a look at the time management and being like, organize areas, get a return on investment. What are the, like, what is something that you want her to learn
Okay.
with time management and the prioritization planning system? How can you help her to do that? So, for going back to the roadmap one,
Mhm.
that's where I put the goal for month one would be like potentially like something like prioritization and scheduling. Something
Okay.
like that would be what I put in the goal section.
Okay.
Okay. So that, but I would ask her what her goals are, and I would like tell her and be like, hey, and like, I don't do this great. Like Teresia knows she's a one-on-one client as well. And like we don't typically talk about the goals every single like time, but something that's helping me is I literally just started doing this week is there's a way that you can make a bolder line after the fourth session. So like so you know when each month is complete, and then it can like
Okay.
kind of be like a reminder to ask.
Okay. That's a great idea. Yes.
Be
Thank
like, hey, we're coming up on the end of month one,
you.
celebrating you. What's your goal?
Okay.
So that could be
I'm just
helpful.
gonna, yeah, I'm just gonna put it there for right now and I'll go back but that's, yes, that's
Perfect.
helpful. Thank you. Because I plan on using this with other
Other
clients
times.
as well.
I
Yes.
bet.
Well, all my next clients. I got
Yes,
one.
they're all coming. They're all coming. I love that
They're coming.
mindset. So
Yes.
the next thing is I actually do this on the calls with the client. So
And I did that with her on this. So like, but so I did that with her on this. We went over after the call, like you suggested at the end, we filled this out.
uh-huh.
What I was looking at is this part of it. So I asked her what she would want to do. Like we can do this on the call, or if she wanted to send that in to me prior to, so we can utilize that time on the call for actual coaching. I told her I was flexible. So I went ahead and I sent her the sheet because that's what she wanted. And she was going to go back because I just sent her this on my coaching session. So she's going to go back and write down wins
Okay.
for the week.
So
But we can also, like you do with our calls, I'm flexible. It's just, I know she really wants to value her time and I want to value her time. So I was
yeah,
open to, that way she can think, she might not have it all filled out, but that way she can think about maybe there's something she wants to ask me specifically on our next call. And that just kind of helps her jog her memory too.
exactly. As long as you've got something, so in that roadmap area, the notes section, the
Yes.
main thing for that is like thinking about her progress. Like whatever you guys talked about, being like, oh my God, do you remember like this is the week that like your husband lost his job? And this is the week that this is the week that like you were even gone for a week, you went to Hawaii and you still did this. Like, and it's your numbers didn't dip. Look at that. Like to celebrate, because what the main thing is, clients will forget their progress. They will
Yes.
totally forget how far they've come. And so that's just like the reasoning for the check-in and roadmap. As long as you have documentation somewhere, if you're doing the roadmap, I think that's phenomenal. So it's
Okay.
like maybe like writing down a couple of things that she experienced.
Okay.
Now with the plan, or not the plan, with the spreadsheet and the little graph,
Yes.
this is in a Word sheet. It's in a Excel spreadsheet. The training that I did was for a Google spreadsheet. So it's
Yes.
just two different things, but I'm sure I don't know actually how to create a graph like that in Google. However, hi Teresia. But if you Google that, I'm sure that someone could teach you. I'm guessing it'll be something similar to like selecting each and clicking insert and inserting a graph, but I'm just not sure because I've never used Word
No, this is an Excel.
or whatever. This
Okay.
isn't what's it called? But this isn't Sheets, is it?
Yeah, it's Sheets. Well, it's not Google, it's Excel, but I can do it. I can transform it into the Google Doc as well too. I had watched your training and I had downloaded this and because I'm more familiar with Excel.
Excel.
So I
Yeah.
just utilize that. But I think it has to be the same because you can, I do my budget and everything that way and just adding it. But I am, how do I say, thank you for your training because I am learning Google a lot more, and I think it's going to be highly valuable with clients in sharing things. It's just to get started, I had to kind of go with what I know and build upon that.
Yes. And I think that is like literally like so much of the time that is like essentially what we do is we like go with what we know. And as long as like there's a way for you to track the spreadsheet in there, I
Mhm.
would I don't know how to make it look like mine did, but I'm sure there is still a way that you can create a graph in there. And so I'd
Okay.
say that's great.
Yeah, I saw where you just added the different numbers and you showed kind of how to create that. So I was thinking it's got to be the same. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
And
pretty sure it's similar.
okay, and thanks for your tips on the goals. And I'm not sure if this will, I was going to kind of share what I did. I don't know if this will help Tammy or anybody else, but when we come to the pillars, what I did is can you see the Word document now?
Oh no, we can't.
Okay.
But you might have to like go back and like stop sharing a screen and then share a different screen.
Okay.
That's what I
There
have to
was,
do.
okay, there was something where I ran into that on my call too. There was something though where you can, if you have the same screen, you can pull it up, but it's not doing that.
It's
Okay.
like a window or something. So it's like you can choose like window or like entire screen and it's like a whole thing. But you actually have to stop sharing your screen to do it.
Oh, okay. Somewhere I got to where I was able to, in the session with her, I ran into this, but somewhere if it was on the same screen, I could still share it. So it was kind of strange.
If
Okay,
it's the
this is the difference
window,
between
yeah, it's a weird
this is the difference between
Google
Zoom
Meet
and Teams.
and Teams. All
Yes,
the
and all the Slack. I've done all of those, but this was, yeah, I ran into that challenges a little bit on Saturday, but that's okay. So now you can see this Word document.
ooh, love.
Okay, so I didn't know if this would help Tammy, it might help you or
Yes,
anybody else,
anybody.
but what I did is I took this, what you had provided us, Megan, and then I did my consult off of this, and I kind of highlighted stuff as reminders for me because I wasn't comfortable enough sharing it on the screen. I just was doing it off to the side. And so this was like so then and after each one, like you suggested, we went through, like, she wasn't really stressed. It was more, she had burnout, but she was more, I ended up using fulfillment for her, like, not, sorry,
Yep.
emotional intelligence, like growing your emotional intelligence is what I used for this section for her.
Perfect.
So, but I did do that where I went through each one of them and I tied them back into my prioritization planning system. This is what you'll get for your time management and stress. So when I did that, I found that I think it's something that I can use for every single consult I'll do, and it won't change that much, which I thought was helpful. And so when I wrote out her, and then I had little items here, like, this is what you'll receive. Do you have any questions? And then the price and we did create a follow-up. So that is one thing I want to work on. But one other item I was going to show is, so if this is helpful,
Sharon, this is awesome. I like love all the resources that you guys share with each other. It is just so collaborative and freaking wonderful.
so this is just, I did a personalized email to her because we ended up scheduling a follow-up, which is, I think the follow-up was good and she did sign, but I do think I think when I evaluated myself, I can do a better job at painting that, like bridging the gaps. I think was good with the plan because she was like, oh, I love how you organize this. And I love how you tell me how you're going to help me get there. As I was going through each one of the pillars after she would rate her, like for her the different pillars, the different categories. And then this is what I sent out at the end. I should say in the email to her was, this is your plan. Like, we share the plan. So I specifically had it going to her, specifically to how she numbered him. But even though she numbered him this way, we did focus on the emotional intelligence, which the thought work, that presentation that I worked on with her. And again, thank you so much, because I utilized a lot of your template for that as well too, and then added my own flavor.
Love.
So it was helpful because I communicated to her that I wanted to start here because this is the foundation for everything else that we're going to work on. And then next week, our next appointment, we're going to work on just a high level of the purpose plan, her long-term plan, basically. But I call it the purposeful purposeful plan.
Yes. And I would just like communicate that with her and be like, even though I know that you might have like marked time management lower, I would love to start in the big picture and then scale down. Because if and I would tell her the reasoning, be like, if you make your plan right now, from if we like create like a schedule and we start prioritizing things because you were like the firstborn, you take on too much, we want to figure out how to pare that down, but based on your future self, not your current self. So being
Yes.
like, okay, this is like how we want to like, that's the reason why I would like to do this first. Does that work for you? Like, I want to see what you think. And like just sharing that reasoning with her to build that trust, I think
Okay.
would be like just so awesome. But like, look at this. I'm like, that's so good. And the reason why I shifted, like, so I actually used to, when I was first starting, I would take everything and I would put it into a different document that I would send them after a consult and things like that. But then I started like working with more clients. And then I was just like, okay, I just need to send you something because I've got like other people coming up. So it was literally just like, I just sent them exactly the rough notes that I took from the consult. And I was like, here it is. This is the best I can do. I was like, because I've got other consults coming up. So I love that idea of the recap. If you've got time for that, go for it. And it's going to get easier the more that you coach and the more you do consults. You're going to see more people with that same trend. And I love the idea of using the same like under bullets that you have and like sharing that. So good. And if you wouldn't mind like putting that in the group, that would be awesome. If you like feel comfortable sharing that.
I think that I do think that most people within those categories struggle with similar things. I think it's just going to change some of the wording that links back to their words of what they use. But I do feel like that gives me something to like build on, so that as you're not so worried about. Again, I wanted to, if I format it up front, then as I do more and more consults, there'll be less and less work for me. So that way I can get it out to the client quicker, but I could also personalize it easier too, because I'm not thinking about creating it so much.
Yep, that's literally why like I had to start putting the like what is the actual protocol? And I was like, what actually happens on this protocol? I was like, the engagement protocol sounds great. CEO scheduling systems. That sounds lovely. But what in the world is this again? I was like, wait, what am I teaching here? And so like having those like under bullets to be like the exact pieces is awesome. Like love that. But I think this is great, guys. Like you are on a roll. I think that like what I'm hearing is that most humans have like gotten consults already and are citing people already. And I'm like, hell yeah. Like, let's go. We were like not even 2 months in. I'm like, this is great.
And I would say when we did our pillars, and when I went to that first networking event, which is where I met her after we had, I roughly formalized my pillars. That helped me actually speak to her of actually what she was needing. And Anise brought up a good point, because I was thinking I was going to, because it is, when you go to networking events, I think it will help me if I say I'm a career and life fulfillment coach.
Okay, perfect.
So I just thought that would kind of separate a little bit more, and then I think maybe build more curiosity than originally I had cards that said life coach, but I do have on the back of the card, book a free consult, and I have my website on there.
Yes.
So
I
go
think
ahead.
that's the key pieces is like making sure that like whatever you say is like it's less about like being like life and career fulfillment as more as the confidence that you say it with.
Okay.
So like it could like and also like the connection you have with that person, how can you connect to something they're struggling with in their life and being like, okay, you're struggling with X, this is what I do in my program. I'm a career and fulfillment coach instead of leading, following with the what versus like the why.
Mhm.
Like so starting what I mean by that is like starting with the why and being like it's like, oh, that's amazing, I worked with so many people like that are in the marketing sphere. I like love helping people to like build up their confidence so that they can get promotions and things like that. So that's what I do as a life and fulfillment and career coach. Do you see how I say like the why versus like the what? And I
Mhm.
should like if I'll tell Anise to like listen to that back, or like I'll send her a voice message or something. But like that, like being like, I know that you work at Cisco, and that's awesome. It's like I know I was in corporate for a while. It's like that's actually why I created my coaching program, because I found that like there's just, like I wanted to get ahead, figured out how to get ahead. Now I help other people get ahead. I wanted to be more fulfilled, figured out how to be more fulfilled. All of that jazz. The other thing I wanted to offer, you mentioned you were like real quick about like your website, and literally like exactly what I'm exactly what I said. Now you got like Bloom and Bravely, which I think you probably brought that like domain or something. But I'm like, this is like wonderful. It's like, here's who I work with, book a free consult. The exactly what you do is incredible. I think that is clear. That is like, here's what I do, here's what I'm in. I would just add like Sharon, founder of the Career Fulfillment Road Route,
Okay.
something like that there. And we got like the about me
I might
area.
have that. I might have that on my about page.
I would just, so it's like the
Okay,
more you
but
can
yeah,
say that
absolutely. Okay.
could be helpful. And then contact, I would just add your consult schedule instead of contact. I would be like book a consult.
Yeah, I have to figure out how to put that free Google in there, like Anise suggested, because right now it costs an additional fee to do that
You know.
with Squarespace. And the same thing with like, as far as I know from sending mail, you were talking about your client being able to send emails from her website from Squarespace. As far as I know, that's another add-on that you have to do, and it's additional funds.
Shit. Well, I just
Yeah.
lied to everybody. I was like, so it costs money to do that in Squarespace?
From what everything I've seen, unless I'm missing something, but from everything I've seen, if you do some of those like annuity or any of those, they're like add-ons that you have, and there's another fee. Like right now, I have Google. I have Google Space that I have for my email and all that. That connects with my that way I actually have bloomandbravely.com as my email. However, once that first full year expires, then it's a paid subscription.
So it's like 1 year of it and then it pays. Okay,
But
gotcha.
I haven't found any of the other tools except for when you sign up for the first 2 weeks, and it took me longer than 2 weeks to build my website. But then they gave it to you for free, I think, on your like your calendar. Annuity, I think, is who they like connect with, but it is then paid after you do have to pay for it after that. That's what I've seen anyway.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I think that like I have a feeling that like after a year, paying for like one of the subscription things will also not be a problem. Like
I
it'll be
know,
like,
yeah, I agree. And I'm hoping that in a few months it might not be a problem either. I just
yeah.
want
Well,
to
it's
keep,
also an expense. So you can just be like,
yeah.
credit card, be like, pay this later. It was like
Yeah, but I've been doing that, but I have to get more clients in to, because I signed up for Zune and I've done different things to get my business going, and I have to kind of balance those expenses out. So,
totally get that. And I think that like just sending an email, like I think within the year, I think you're gonna be good. But I'm excited for you. I love your website. I'm like, I feel like this is awesome. And do you have any more questions for me, or are you feeling good?
I think the only where I was mentioning is bridging the gap. So I think I was able to bridge the gap. It's going to take practice between the pillars and then aligning it with my systems. But I think painting the overall picture was maybe where I wasn't as strong on this consult,
Mhm.
which is why there was a follow-up and it took longer to sign the client. So I just think that's something that I can work on. So I'm open to pointers for that.
So for that one, what I like to do is even before the consult, I want you thinking about how you would paint the vision for that client before you get on the call. So
Mhm.
like as you met her at the networking event, being like, okay, so how could I help this person? Like, how could I help Sharon? And I'm like, okay, I'm looking at her, I'm thinking about her. What could I perceive that I found out where she works?
Mhm.
What things might she struggle with burnout with? What things might she need some time management? What about her long term plan? how can I already start picturing that? And then I like to make specific timelines. So I would be like, so based on what you've told me, and we're switching it around a little bit, but I'd be like, so your lowest category is currently time management. But I think it's because you took on a lot of things because you were the older sibling. You felt like this obligation to just take on everything. And so, what we need to do first is actually work on your mindset and shift that older sibling mentality before we create your schedule. Because if I just teach you how to make an awesome time managed schedule, you're going to be like, perfect, I can just take on more things. So, the first thing we need to do is figure out that EQ, heal that like version of you that's just taking on everything and is people pleasing. That's what we would do first. And that would be in this week. So it's like, I would love to start working with you as soon as possible. And that's what we would do throughout the month of January into February. Then after that, we're going to need to zoom out and be like, okay, what do you want to create in the next 10 years? Again, even though time management is like a right now need, we want to zoom out to make sure you're actually prioritizing the right things so that you're like putting yourself in the right direction. So then we're going to build out this future version of you. We're going to do this long-term plan and we're going to see what kind of things do we need to be doing this year to make sure you're good in 10 years. How does that feel for you? And she'll be like, awesome. Be like, so after that, then what we're going to do is then we'll go in and then we'll finally start to make a schedule around it. And I forget what your fourth pillar is, but then you would like, do you see how I'm saying it?
Life balance.
You work-life balance. And then we'll finally create that schedule that also gives you the work-life balance. And I want to get you doing all of that by March. Like I want to get you through these like basic things in March. And then after that, the reason why this program is 3 months long or 6 months long is because then after we get done the basics, then we want to take it to the next level. And then I want to be like, okay, so now that you've been applying these things, how is it working? Evaluating it, tweaking it. So it doesn't just help you 6 months from now, it'll help you 6 years from now. Do you see how I was like talking about the tips that I would give if that because that's what you were asking for is I would be like specific time frames, being like, here are the specifics, here's the time frame. The next thing I would do is I would talk about specific time frames, make it related to her, and bring back to the words she used.
Okay.
But such a good question. I was like, because that was like the hardest piece for me. And I realized that like now I'm talking to people about like a wait list. And I'm like, so you would be on the wait list until April. But as you were on that wait list till April, you would get a chance to do your first session with me where we craft your offer. And then I can give you feedback virtually for 4 extra months. So instead of just getting like 6 months of live coaching with me, you would get 3 months or 4 months of virtual coaching with me on top of that. So it's a special bonus that I'm doing right now. Only for people who sign up for one-on-one coaching right now are going to get this special bonus. And I would want you to like just have me in your pocket, have me messaging, sending me evals, getting access to all the materials ahead of time. So when we start working together, we can just hit the ground running and problem solving, troubleshooting. How
That's
does
neat.
that sound? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. So what you're doing is you're allowing them access, they sign up and they're access and they're going through your modules. And then that way they've been learning as they go and then they start coaching with you one-on-one. That's really good.
Is
Yeah.
it cool?
Yes.
It's like because I was thinking about who have I ever signed up to work with like 3 to 6 months prior, and it was 200K. And I was like, I signed up in October and they started in January.
Mhm.
And I got access to all the modules. It made me so much more prepared. I could learn everything beforehand. And then when I got there, I was so much more prepared.
Okay.
So I'm like, if you start paying now, we can do
Yeah,
big things.
that's good. I mean, 'cause to me, that as a person, that would be appealing still. Cause you're like, well, then I won't, don't, if I can't start till here, you're kind of disappointed. But if you can continue learning and then be that much more prepared and start implementing some of those, that's good. And plus you
Right.
have, it's not like you have the videos to go along with it. So that's good. When you're going through painting the picture for her or in my future clients, one thing I thought of that you bring up a really good point because I was trying to structure this, my pillars. So, like I did, like to your point, that is actually what I did when I've started coaching her is I mentioned about thought work. I'd said that was the foundation. That's what we want to work on first, even though this was the other items were higher priority. This will help us integrate those other items. So that is what I did on the
Yes.
actual, when I started coaching with her. So that'll help me because that's actually, then that'll be what I do on the consult. And then I was looking at, so you brought up a good point because I was looking at how I'm going to structure this. So next week we're going to do her long-term plan, but it's like a high level. So I can kind of understand her goals and what she's wanting to get out of things. So we can then structure her time management and her work-life balance in that, but like setting it out to the 3 months, like it's going to take us 3 months to work on these, and then we're going to up level from there. Because I'm sure that like sometimes you get on, how do I want to say, even when I started this coaching program, or as she's starting mine, it's almost like you think you're going to go, like you're going to go out, like I use that example, you're going to go run the marathon and you haven't run to the mailbox. So it's just
Yes.
structuring that for
For
her.
her to see that.
Yes.
And like for you, I know that you were like, well, I don't want to, like, it's like I want to get access to these modules right away. That was like a thing that we discussed about like paying in full versus doing a payment plan. You were like,
Right.
well, I want to make sure that I get access to all these things. And then if you say like the program is 6 months, not because it's going to take you 6 months to feel better, but it's going to take you probably like 2 months to learn everything, apply it, and then we'll spend the next 4 months applying, tweaking, and up leveling. And depending on what her goals are, if she wants to get like a promotion, if she wants to change jobs, if she wants to do anything like that, I just know you do career. So then I'd be like, once we get that first promotion, once we get that first thing under your belt, then maybe we want to look at a different promotion. Maybe we want to do a lateral transition within the company. Then it's like, so it's like we want to get one win under our belt and just continue accumulating wins from there.
Okay.
But girl, you've got this. I was like, that's so for your first consult to close your first consult. I had 17 and I closed 2. So I had 15 immediately. It was like 15 no's. And they were like, I think they were like, oh, she's so sweet. But it was like all like, yeah, sure. And then it was a no. Like they were like, oh yeah, sorry, we can't. Oh yeah, sorry. So I'm just so proud of you for signing your first ever client like right out the bat. That's not how it typically goes.
Now I just got to get more and more. And
It was getting more and more.
yeah, I have to say, I listened to, it was on the coaching, the recorded calls that are Monday's calls. I hadn't got a chance to listen to on Stacey Boom. I hadn't got a chance on 2K for 2K. I hadn't got a chance to listen to the one first week of January, on the 2nd. And it was really good. Because again, one of the ladies on there was like, it reminded me, just think about the who before the how, and go back to that. But it's just a good reminder and yeah, connection. So there was some good information on there. It's just like, it's just, again, I'm trying to be patient with yourself. Cause like, I know you guys are talking about post and all these different things. And I'm like, I'm not even on Instagram.
It's like, I'm not on Instagram. It's like, I don't even know what's happening. But even though you're not on Instagram, I still sent a client your information today.
Okay.
Like, because I was like, she was like looking for a career coach. And I was like, well, she's coming, but here's her email. And I was like, and I'm going to send her your,
Website.
yes, I'm going to
Thank
send her your website now. Can you text me your website also so I can send it to her as well?
I text you as in your phone.
The balloon here, actually, I'll just do it. I was like, I
Oh.
got it pulled up. So I'll just send it to her as well. The
Oh,
Bloom
okay.
and Bravely.
Yeah, Bloom and
Boom.
Bravely.com.
Amazing. But I love you, lady. I'm gonna text her this right now. I was
Okay.
like, here's Shannon's website. So that I don't forget. But I'm so excited for you. This is the first of many. And I cannot wait to, if you have any questions, let me know. And I
Okay.
shall see you next week.
All right. Thank you.
Of course. Bye, everybody.
Bye.